Chapter 2288. Mo Yusheng stood in Xiao Emo's courtyard and sized up the small courtyard. You'll be living in that room from now on. Sima Yue pointed at the room beside hers. There were only 2 rooms here. Mo Yusheng walked straight to the herbs that were drying in the courtyard. I've never seen these herbs before. He turned his head and looked at Sima Yue excitedly. Just these few herbs made him feel that moving here was a good decision. Sima Yue walked over and squatted down beside him, saying, "Do you like herbs a lot?" And it smells very good," Mo Yusheng said with a smile. "Yusheng, when did you start to like the smell of herbs?" Mo Yusheng tilted his head and thought for a while, saying, "I don't know when it started, but when I smell it, I feel very comfortable and happy." "You watch those students refine pills every day. Do you want to do it yourself?" "I can't." Mo Yusheng pouted and said with a bit of disappointment, "They said that I can't cultivate and that I can't become an alchemist in this lifetime." "Who said that?" "Yusheng, you can definitely become an alchemist." Sima Yue reached out and patted his head. "Believe me, you can do it." "Really?" Mo Yusheng looked at Sima Yue and saw the certainty in her eyes. His disappointment disappeared and a pure smile climbed onto his face. Sima Yue nodded and thought to herself, "You're the White Tiger's contractor. How can you not cultivate?" Mo Yusheng looked around and after confirming that there was no one around, he moved his head to Sima Yue's side and said, "Let me tell you something, but don't tell anyone else." Sima Yue saw that he was serious and smiled as she agreed. "Let me tell you, I often think that I'm an alchemist." Mo Yusheng said, "When I watch those people refine pills, I think that if I were to refine pills, I would do something. It's a pity that I don't have any spiritual energy, otherwise I could try out my ideas." How could a child's mind be so familiar with alchemy? Did that mean that there was another soul living in his body? Or did he have memories that did not belong to him since he was young? Sima Yue was shocked, but a smile appeared on her face. "When you can cultivate, you can try out your idea. Who knows, maybe what you think is right." "I knew you wouldn't laugh at me. I didn't even say this to Dongli." Mo Yu's voice was like a child who had been praised, dancing with joy. In the past 2 days, she had already found out about Mo Yusheng. She knew that he was the 7th prince of this country, but could only live in the academy. She knew that he stuck to Dongli, but avoided others like a ferocious beast. Now that he was telling her the words that he had never said to Dongli, did that mean that she was closer to him than Dongli in his heart? This could be considered a big step forward. "Why would I laugh at you? This might be your talent in alchemy. As for not being able to cultivate, it doesn't matter. If I were you, I would have started cultivating when I was your age. Before this, I was called trash." Sima Yue encouraged. "Really?" Mo Yusheng didn't believe it. Although he was very stupid, he could tell that she was very powerful. "Why would I lie to you?" In the past, Sima Yue said some things about the original host not being able to cultivate when she was young, making Mo Yusheng dumbstruck. "So you were the same as me in the past?" he exclaimed. "That's right. If you don't recognize me as your master, I can find a way for you to cultivate. As long as you can cultivate, you can become an alchemist. This way, your ideas can be realized. Don't you think so?" Mo Yusheng hesitated and hesitated again. "If you recognize me as your master, I have many more precious herbs for you. In the future, I can give you all the herbs you need to refine pills. How about it?" Sima Yue looked at him with a smile. She wasn't afraid that he wouldn't be moved. Seeing Mo Yusheng's hesitation and his eyes becoming brighter after hearing her promise, she suddenly felt like she was a strange uncle trying to lure a child. "All right, I'll recognize you as my master." Mo Yusheng was finally brainwashed by her conditions. "Where are the herbs? Where are the herbs? Let me take a look." "Don't be anxious. Since it's recognizing a master, there should be some procedures," Sima Yue said. Mo Yusheng was a bit impatient as he pouted and stared at her, expressing his dissatisfaction. Sima Yue facepalmed. Taking in such a disciple really made her heart tired. "I won't go through the other procedures, but you should at least let your master drink the tea, right?" Mo Yusheng stared at her, tilted his head, and thought for a moment. Then he ran into the kitchen, found a bowl, filled it with water and brought it out. Then, with a bang, he knelt in front of her, raised the bowl over his head and said, "Master, please drink this tea." Sima Yue looked at his serious expression and told herself that this was already not bad. She took the big bowl and drank a mouthful of the cold water inside. Then she threw the bowl into her spirit pagoda. What a shabby ceremony. This is Master's gift for you to play with. When you wake up one day, Master will give you a proper Master's gift. Sima Yue took out a few medicinal ingredients and gave them to Mo Yusheng. She also pulled him up from the ground. When Mo Yusheng saw those herbs, he treasured them greatly and took them back to his room. Sima Yue thought about how his room had not been decorated yet. Everything was in her spatial ring, so she resigned to her fate and went to decorate his room. In a house not far from the academy, Fuxi and Black Tortoise were playing chess. Luo Zi's hand paused and he smiled. "Master and disciple, it seems like Yue has found the contractor of White Tiger. I just don't know what kind of person he is. Since she has found him, she will definitely bring him over for us to see." Black Tortoise was not curious at all. If the timing was not right, he would like to see Sima Yue's bitter expression. However, at this point in time, he couldn't bring himself to laugh. To find someone in the academy who did not know how to cultivate, other than trash, what else could he be? Thinking about White Tiger, the two of them could not help but sigh. They thought that he was trash, but when they saw Mo Yusheng, they knew that there was no such thing as the worst, only worse. "He is your little disciple?" Fuxi wanted to cry but had no tears. "Azure Dragon, you are also a divinator now. Did she find the wrong person?" Black Tortoise looked at Mo Yusheng's pure eyes and could not bear to look at him. Sima Yue was also helpless. "I also want Fuxi to see if I found the wrong person." Yesterday, after accepting Mo Yusheng, he had been studying those herbs. She wanted to let Fuxi and Black Tortoise take a look first, so she brought people over. Looking at him now, he had clearly said the answer. Chapter 2289. The group of people looked at Mo Yusheng, who was foolishly looking at the herbs in the courtyard, and felt helpless. Not only is this White Tiger's contractor unable to cultivate, his intelligence is also stuck at a few years old. "Yue, are you sure you can guide him to cultivate?" When she looked at Sima Yue pitifully, Sima Yue sighed and said, "We have to, even if we can't. We don't have any other choice. However, I don't think Yusheng is that simple." "What did you discover?" Bai Xiaofei asked. At this moment, he was not as cold as the first time they met. It was probably the happy life after marriage that chased away the coldness in his heart. He likes to refine pills and herbs. Not only that, he is very sensitive towards refining pills. He clearly has no spiritual energy, but he can feel others condensing pills. He is also very familiar with herbs. Sima Yue said, "Not to mention a person with an incomplete mind who cannot cultivate. Even an ordinary alchemist would not be able to do this." "You're saying that he might be like you, reincarnated in a corpse?" Black Tortoise exclaimed. Sima Yue did not expect Black Tortoise to be able to calculate this. It seemed like they knew about her background. She nodded and said, "I'm just guessing, I'm not sure. I can only say that he has secrets on him. And maybe these secrets are the reason why his mind is incomplete." Fuxi said, "We can't help you with these things, you can only find out by yourself. I'll have to trouble you. If there's nothing else, I'll bring him back. When we go back, we'll see if we can find the reason why he cannot cultivate." Sima Yue finished speaking and left. Mo Yusheng was sitting in the courtyard, looking and smelling the herbs that Sima Yue gave him. When he saw Sima Yue come out, he stood up and ran over happily, saying, "Master, there's a very dense energy in here." Sima Yue looked at the herbs in his hands. She was very familiar with them. They could be used to refine 9th grade pills. Their grades were relatively high, but why didn't she feel any energy? "Master?" When Mo Yusheng saw Sima Yue staring at the herbs, he stuffed the herbs into her hands and looked at her happily. Every time she looked into his eyes, Sima Yue could not bear to reject him. She rubbed his head and said, "The sound of the rain is really powerful. You can even sense the power within the medicinal ingredients." Hee. Mo Yusheng laughed even more happily after being praised. "Let's go back to the academy." Sima Yue returned the herbs to him. Let's go back and study what this power is, okay? All right. Mo Yuxing nodded. Sima Yue turned around to look at the others before leaving with Mo Yuxing. Yue is really patient with him. Luckily, Ling Yu has returned to the devil realm. Otherwise, the vinegar that he brewed would drown us. Black Tortoise said regretfully, as if he didn't see the show. Fushi rolled his eyes at him and left. He couldn't be bothered with this disrespectful old man. When Sima Yue brought Mo Yuxing back to the academy, she saw another black-clothed youth at the entrance of her courtyard. The youth stood at the entrance with his hands behind his back and looked at the small courtyard. When he heard movement behind him, he turned around to look at Sima Yue and Mo Yuxing. Seeing Mo Yuxing holding Sima Yue's sleeve, the youth's eyes flashed. He actually trusted someone so much? Mo Yuxing saw the black-clothed youth and excitedly let go of Sima Yue's sleeve. He ran over and hugged him, saying, "Sixth brother, you're back to see Yuxing." Mo Yuxing patted Mo Yuxing's back and said, "And father summoned me back, so I came to see you. Have you been happy during this period of time?" Yuxing is very happy every day. Mo Yuxing let him go and pulled him in front of Sima Yue, saying, "Sixth brother, this is my master." "Master, sixth brother is here to see me." Sima Yue looked at this youth who was about the same age as Mo Yuxing. He wore the same clothes and had a similar face, but this youth seemed to have a maturity that surpassed his peers. Mo Yuxing looked at Sima Yue and then bowed, saying, "Thank you for taking care of Yuxing." "You are Mo Yuxing?" Sima Yue asked. "Yes. I heard that you have been guarding the imperial tomb." "Yes. You're not going back this time, right?" "Yes." Sima Yue nodded and said, "Since you're here, then go in and sit. I also have some things I want to ask you." Mo Yuxing seemed to know what Sima Yue wanted to ask, and followed her into the courtyard. "Sixth brother, let me tell you, my master is very strong. She is even better at refining pills than Dongli. Moreover, she also has a lot of medicinal herbs, all of which smell very comfortable. Sixth brother, master is very good to me. She is as gentle as mother and never fierce. Sixth brother, let me tell you secretly. Master won't stay here for long. If master leaves, what if I can't bear to part with her?" Mo Yuxing had been listening to Mo Yuxing talk with a smile. Hearing this, he asked, "How do you know?" "I just know." Mo Yuxing pouted and said, "Master has immortal energy on her body. How can a fairy with immortal energy stay here for long?" "You can see immortal energy from Yuxing? Then see if your brother has immortal energy on him." Mo Yuxing smiled. "It's true. Sixth brother, you don't believe me. I believe you. I believe everything Yuxing says." Sima Yue heard Mo Yuxing's words and laughed silently. "Yuxing, bring your sixth brother inside to talk. I'll go prepare some food for you guys." At this time, there was no food in the school. Sima Yue could not eat, but Mo Yuxing could not. She could only personally cook. "Sixth brother, let me tell you. Master's food is very delicious. I ate it last night. It's better than anything I've eaten before." Mo Yuxing found a stool and sat down. Mo Yuxing moved a stool to his side and reached out to pull on his sleeve. Mo Yuxing saw his hand pulling on his sleeve and thought of how he pulled on Sima Yue's sleeve. Sima Yue finished cooking and let the two eat while she returned to her room. When Mo Yuxing knocked on the door, it was already late at night. "Come in." Mo Yuxing heard the response from inside and pushed the door open. What he saw was a beauty leisurely reading under the light. "He's asleep?" Sima Yue raised her head and asked. "N." Mo Yuxing nodded and walked over. He sat opposite her and said, "I didn't expect Yuxing to have another master. Yuxing likes you a lot. I can see that he's very happy after meeting you." "Yuxing is a simple child," Sima Yue said. "You don't have to worry that I'll hurt him. But you do have other motives for him, don't you?" Chapter 2290. Sima Yue stared at him. He stared back at her without a trace of fear in his eyes. "Even if I do have ulterior motives, what will you do?" She smiled. "I want to know, what do you want him to do?" Mo Yulai asked. His mind is still that of a child and he doesn't know how to cultivate. He's just a useless person to you. If you want to use his identity as a prince, I should be more suitable than him. What if you lose your life because of this? Sima Yue asked. Mo Yulai looked at Sima Yue. Her smile was so gentle, but she could easily say that someone would lose their life. She was like a poppy flower. It was so beautiful, but it made people feel cold. As long as Yuxing can be safe. Even if you want my life, so what? He said calmly but firmly. If she really wanted his life in exchange for Yuxing's, he would definitely not hesitate. Sima Yue stared at his serious expression and smiled, saying, "It's good that he has a brother like you. I didn't come because of his identity as a prince, but don't worry, I won't take his life. He has responsibilities that he should shoulder. I'm only here to let him shoulder them." Mo Yulai was shocked by her words, but quickly accepted it, saying, "As expected." "You know that he's not ordinary, right?" Sima Yue asked. Mo Yulai nodded. "It seems like you've noticed." Sima Yue said. "What's the matter with him with medicinal ingredients?" Mo Yulai hesitated for a while, saying, "I don't know either. I only know that he's been obsessed with medicinal ingredients since he was young. He's very obedient when he's with medicinal ingredients." "That's all?" Mo Yulai nodded. His imperial mother said that when he was born, the sky was filled with light. Imperial father was very happy because of this, but later on, he found that his mind was stuck at a few years old, so he drifted away. Later on, his imperial mother died, and I went to guard the imperial mausoleum. His days in the palace were not good. I thought of a way to get imperial father to allow him to live here. I don't know much else. Everyone says that the imperial family is heartless. Why are you so good to Yuxing? My life was not given birth by his mother, but it was given to me by his mother. Now that she's gone, I naturally have to take good care of him. Mo Yulai didn't elaborate, but Sima Yue guessed. They have good taste. Sima Yue praised them out of the blue. She had already guessed why Mo Yulai came back. As long as one combined the new student selection with the academy's situation, one would be able to understand the thoughts of the dean and the others. This Mo Yulai was indeed much better than the fourth prince Mo Yusher. Although it would be difficult to choose a prince with no power or influence, it was their last choice. Mo Yulai looked at her and said, "Can you tell me what you want Yuxing to do? What is his mission?" The mission on his shoulders is naturally the lives and future of all living beings in the world. Sima Yue said. Seeing him frown, she explained, "I'm not talking about the people in your country, but the whole world, including your country, your continent, and all the other continents." Mo Yulai never knew that there were other continents outside of this one, but when she said this, he seemed to see a grand world. Wanyan continent was only a very small part of it. "Did you come from outside?" he asked. "Yes. I came to this continent for Yuxing. How long will you stay here?" "It depends on Yuxing's situation. When he can shoulder the responsibility, I will complete my mission." Sima Yue didn't know either, but she felt that it wouldn't be short. "When you leave, will Yuxing also leave?" "Yes." Sima Yue didn't hide it from him. Once Mo Yulai formed a contract with the White Tiger and woke it up, it would be considered a success. At that time, it would be time for the 4 divine beasts and the 4 ferocious beasts to settle the score. As the White Tiger's contracted beast, Mo Yulai naturally had to leave with it. She thought about what Black Tortoise and the others said. The White Tiger's injuries had already healed, but it was still sleeping. Only Mo Yulai's contract could wake it up. If Mo Yulai formed a contract early, then he wouldn't have the strength. When the time came, would he only be able to watch from the back? If they had to wait for him to become stronger before they could form a contract, then wouldn't they have to wait for a few hundred years? Sigh, what a headache. Mo Yulai didn't know about the countless twists and turns in her heart. He was still digesting the news that Mo Yulai was shouldering the world. The two of them were silent for a while. "Sixth brother, why are you here with master?" Mo Yulai appeared at the door, still rubbing his sleepy eyes. "Aren't you going to sleep with Yuxing?" "Sixth brother is here to chat with your master. I want to see if you are obedient here." Mo Yulai stood up and said to Sima Yue, "Thank you for your explanation. It's too late, I'll go over first." "Wait a moment." Sima Yue came to his side and tapped his forehead, saying, You and I are fated. During the time I was in Wanyan continent, I protected you. It would be a pity if such a good seedling died prematurely. More importantly, Clear Wind Academy would only be stable if he got up. When the academy was stable, she and Mo Yulai would have a better environment. If Mo Yulai died, it would be a blow to Mo Yulai. Mo Yulai only saw her tap lightly and a faint figure appeared in his sea of consciousness, looking at her suspiciously. That's my soul imprint. During the time I was in Wanyan continent, when your life was in danger, she would protect you. I would also sense it. Sima Yue said. Alright, you guys go back and rest. Mo Yulai was a little excited. When he agreed to the principal's request, it meant that his life would be in danger at any time. Although he was fearless, he didn't want to die for nothing and let those people succeed. Now that he had her soul imprint, his life would be safe for the time being. He bowed to her, and then went to the door. He pulled Mo Yulai's hand and said, Let's go back and rest. Alright. Master, you should sleep early too. Mo Yulai didn't forget to remind Sima Yue. Sima Yue waited for the two of them to leave before taking out a medicinal ingredient. This was the same medicinal ingredient that Mo Yulai said had power. She turned it over and over for a while, but still couldn't find any power. The next morning, Mo Yulai and Mo Yulai bid farewell. Sima Yue had already made breakfast. You're going back to the palace? Eat breakfast before you leave. Sima Yue sat down and started eating. Mo Yulai and Mo Yulai came over, and the three of them ate breakfast together. As he drank the warm porridge, he felt that his heart, which had been cold for a long time, was also warm. He finally understood why Mo Yulai, who was always on guard against others, liked her so much. Chapter 2291. Mo Yulai left the small courtyard after eating breakfast, and went to find the dean to discuss some matters. Before entering the palace, they had to make some preparations. Mo Yuxing sent him to the entrance of the small courtyard, and pulled on his sleeve, unwilling to let him go. He only let go after Mo Yulai promised that he would visit him often. His eyes turned red as he stared at Mo Yulai's back. Sima Yue looked at his back and sighed. Yuxing, come here. Mo Yuxing came to Sima Yue's side. Sima Yue took out a handkerchief for him to wipe his tears. Are you worried about your sixth brother? She asked. Mo Yuxing nodded. Sixth brother is in danger. How do you know sixth brother is in danger? She asked again. Mo Yulai definitely wouldn't tell Mo Yuxing those things, so he had guessed it himself. Eldest brother and the others are very fierce. If sixth brother returns to the palace and doesn't leave, they will kill him. Mo Yuxing said. Then do you want to protect your sixth brother? Mo Yuxing fiercely nodded. If you want to protect sixth brother, you have to become strong. If you want to become strong, you have to cultivate. Sima Yue said. Mo Yuxing lowered his head and said dejectedly, I can't cultivate. I'm trash. Who said you're trash? You just can't cultivate for now. Did you forget that master couldn't cultivate before? As long as you find the reason why you can't cultivate and solve the problem, you'll be fine. Why don't you let master examine you and see why you can't cultivate? Alright. Mo Yuxing nodded and followed Sima Yue into the room. Sima Yue sent her divine sense into his body, and found that there was nothing wrong with his body. He wasn't poisoned, his meridians weren't blocked. The reason she guessed before didn't exist. His body was a perfectly normal body. Sima Yue searched his body for a long time before giving up and leaving. Master, did you find the reason? Mo Yuxing asked. Not yet. Sima Yue said. Let's go to class first. We'll see if we can find out the reason when we come back, okay? Alright. Sima Yue brought him to the classroom. Today, she was going to introduce some herbs to the students. These herbs were all rare and had different growth environments, harvesting methods, preservation methods, and refining methods. When she was teaching, Mo Yuxing stayed quietly at the back of the classroom, looking a little unhappy. After class, Sima Yue brought him back. She gave him some herbs and asked him to dry them in the courtyard. She gave him the medicinal ingredients that she had mentioned today, and they had to be handled very carefully. Originally, she thought that Mo Yuxing was absent-minded during class, and wouldn't be able to handle them well. She didn't expect that he would be able to handle each of the medicinal ingredients extremely well. After drying the herbs, he squatted beside them and stared at them in a daze. Sima Yue took out her soundstone and contacted Fuxi and the others. She told them about Mo Yuxing's situation. Are you sure there's nothing wrong with his body? Fuxi asked. I checked in the morning. There's nothing wrong with him. Sima Yue said. Not only is there no problem, his innate talent should be very good as well. However, he just can't sense any spiritual energy, let alone guiding spiritual energy into his body to cultivate. Then this is troublesome. Black Tortoise sighed. If they could find out what was wrong with his body, they would be able to prescribe the right medicine and let him start cultivating. However, his body didn't have any problems. What should they do? Can you guys calculate? Even if there's some direction, it'll be good. Sima Yue asked. No. We've already tried. Regarding Mo Yuxing, other than the fact that she's your disciple, there's nothing else. How can this be? Sima Yue was extremely shocked. Actually, there's nothing strange about this. The heavenly Tao covered up the matter of the white tiger. Since Mo Yuxing is its contractor, it's normal for him to be covered up by the heavenly Tao. Black Tortoise said. There's also a possibility that it's because of him. He's a little strange, isn't he? If there's no reason, it wouldn't be like this. In short, it was just a sentence. They couldn't calculate anything. She could only rely on herself. Sima Yue broke the connection and kept the soundstone. She thought about Mo Yuxing's situation again, but she still couldn't think of a reason. She could only ask for help. Why did you call me here? The flamboyant throne appeared in the room, along with Ming's ugly face. I have something to ask you, Sima Yue said with a smile. I can't find anyone else now, so I can only look for you. Ming didn't know if it was because this sentence successfully pleased him, but his expression became better. He said, say it, what's the matter that you can't solve? Sima Yue told him about Mo Yuxing's situation. She didn't even mention the fact that Black Tortoise and the rest couldn't calculate anything about him. You're talking about that little child in the courtyard? Ming looked at Mo Yuxing, who was squatting on the ground. Yes. Help me take a look. Why can't he cultivate? Sima Yue looked at him expectantly. I really have to hand it to you. Ming glanced at her. With a wave of his hand, a black fog was released from his palm. It flew to Mo Yuxing's side and enveloped him. The other side was connected to his hand. Mo Yuxing, who was squatting in front of the herbs, didn't know what was going on. He only felt his body turn cold and fell to the ground. Sima Yue looked at Mo Yuxing worriedly, but she didn't go up to interrupt Ming. After 2 to 3 minutes, Ming retracted the black fog. How is it? Do you know the reason? Sima Yue asked. He's a cultivator undergoing tribulation. Ming said, people like him have something different from ordinary people. They have their own strength, so normal cultivation methods aren't suitable for them. Mo Yuxing is a cultivator undergoing tribulation? Sima Yue was shocked. Yes, so don't use normal methods to guide him. Instead, activate the strength in his body. How do I activate it? Their bodies don't feel any different. Their strength was only sealed by the heavenly Tao. It's not that they don't have it anymore. Ming looked at her as if she was stupid. Didn't you also have a period of time where your strength disappeared? Sima Yue recalled that when she first came out, her power was sealed by the heavenly Tao. It was only after she blocked the Ghost Clan's people in Fair Eastern City and attracted the lightning tribulation that she returned to normal after being ruthlessly struck. Therefore, Mo Yuxing needed a stimulation point. As long as that point was stimulated, he would be able to recover his strength. Don't ask me how to stimulate him. Every cultivator undergoing tribulation is different. You can figure it out yourself. Ming rejected her silent request. Then he sat on the throne and left. She was the only one who had the guts to ask someone like him to come and answer her questions. Chapter 2292. Dark left just like that, and didn't give her any advice. However, she was already very satisfied with this harvest. At least she knew the reason. Now that she had a direction, she knew where to work hard. She walked to Mo Yuxing's side and carried him to his room. After placing him on the bed, she checked his body and injected some spiritual energy into his body, expelling all the dark energy that Dark left in his body. Mo Yuxing felt as if his body had fallen into an ice cellar before he saw his master. His master gently patted his head, and he felt the coldness in his body dissipate. "Master," he muttered softly. Sima Yue covered him with a blanket. When she heard his voice, she smiled and got up to leave. She came to the side of the herbs that were drying in the courtyard and squatted down. She picked up a herb and looked at it repeatedly. Mo Yuxing was a cultivator who was going through tribulation. Normal cultivation methods were useless to him. She had to find another way. What she could confirm now was that he definitely had something to do with pills. It was very likely that he was an alchemist, which was why he loved refining pills so much. Now, if she wanted to find a way to make him cultivate, it seemed like she could only start with pills or herbs. Suddenly, she remembered what Mo Yuxing said yesterday. "Master, there's a very dense energy inside." She couldn't feel the energy inside the herbs, but he could. Didn't that mean that he could absorb the energy inside the herbs? When she thought of this possibility, she wanted to wake Mo Yuxing up and let him try. However, when she thought of how he was injured by Dark, she decided to let him rest and recover. Mo Yuxing slept all the way until the next day. Sima Yue went to class and saw that he wasn't awake yet. She let little Seven and Hua out to guard him while she went to class. When he woke up, he saw that there were 2 women by his bed. He struggled to sit up on the bed. "Who are you? Where did you hide my master?" He hugged his blanket tightly and trembled in fear. "Don't be afraid. We're your master's contracted beasts. We're here to protect you," Little Seven said. "Your master went to class. When he's done, you'll be able to see him." Little Seven's voice was very soft. Perhaps because she was a spiritual herb, Mo Yuxing slowly let down his guard against her. However, he still curled up on the bed and didn't get down. Little Seven thought for a moment, and took out a big radish that she had collected. She said, "This is for you to play with." When Mo Yuxing saw the medicinal ingredients, he hesitated for a moment before slowly moving over and taking the medicinal ingredients from her hands. She said that she was his master's contracted beast, so she shouldn't be a bad person. Mo Yuxing thought so, and for the sake of the big radish, he decided to play with her for a while. "Yusheng, have you eaten herbs before?" Little Seven asked. "No." Mo Yuxing shook his head. "How can medicinal ingredients be eaten?" "Why can't medicinal herbs be eaten?" Little Seven asked back. "You haven't eaten them before, have you?" Mo Yuxing tilted his head and thought about it. What she said seemed to make sense. "You can feel the power in the herbs, right?" "I can also feel the power of the herbs," Little Seven said. "Really?" Mo Yuxing looked at Little Seven in surprise. Even his master could not see the power in the herbs, but she could? "It's those green things that look like water vapor, right?" Little Seven asked. Yes, that's right. You can really see it." Mo Yuxing was extremely excited and almost went up to hug Little Seven. "Don't be so excited, little fellow." Little Seven patted his shoulder and said seriously, "I've never met anyone who could see the power in the herbs before. Let's go outside and have a chat?" Sure. Mo Yuxing nodded and carried the big radish out. Hua saw Little Seven follow him out. The 2 of them were discussing in full swing in front of the herbs in the courtyard. She speechlessly took out a chair and sat at the side, playing with the flowers. The days were boring, so she could only play with flowers. Hua covered her surroundings with flowers when she suddenly heard a miserable cry. She was so scared that the flower in her hand was thrown away before it even fully bloomed. It hurts." Mo Yuxing laid on the ground and rolled around, scratching his body nonstop. "What's wrong with him? Wasn't he fine just now?" Hua jumped up from the chair. This Mo Yuxing was a very important person. If something happened to him, how could the 2 of them face Yue? "I only gave him a bite of the big radish." Who knew that he would suddenly become like this? Little Seven was also a bit panicked. "Let's quickly call Yu back," Hua said and contacted Sima Yue through the contract. In the next second, Sima Yue appeared in the courtyard. "What happened to Yusheng?" Sima Yue saw Mo Yusheng rolling around on the ground and was very surprised. I only gave him a bite of the big radish. Little Seven said. Sima Yue saw the herbs on the ground and did not have time to scold Little Seven. She waved her hand and wrapped Mo Yusheng with energy, temporarily relieving his pain. Mo Yusheng woke up a bit and saw Sima Yue. He cried and said, "Master, I'm in pain." "Don't be afraid. Master is here. You'll be fine." Sima Yue went up and hugged him. She carried him into the room and placed him on the bed. She checked his body and pulled open his clothes. She took out a few silver needles and poked his stomach a few times. After a few needles, Mo Yusheng felt much better. However, he still felt a force rampaging in his body. "Master, Yusheng is in pain." His tears smeared his face and his teary eyes looked very pitiful. "Yusheng, the force in your body is the force of the herbs that you feel. I can help you expel it." However, didn't you want to cultivate to protect your sixth brother? This is a chance for you to cultivate. As long as you can absorb that force into your dantian, you can cultivate in the future. Master Yusheng won't. No problem. I will help you guide that force. You just have to endure it. Sima Yue said. However, this process will be more painful. Can you endure it? For sixth brother, I can. Mo Yusheng gritted his teeth. Then I'm going to start. Don't resist that force. Sima Yue said and started to control the force in his body to slowly move towards his dantian. Because it had to go through his meridians and let the spirit energy nourish them. Her speed was not fast. Mo Yusheng's body had never experienced this before. When the spirit energy passed through his meridians, he felt like he was going to explode. He bit his lips so hard that his lips were almost pierced through. His entire lips were dripping with blood. The pain in his body made him want to give up. However, when he thought of sixth brother's gaze on him, he had to endure it. Endure. His eyes stared straight and his eyeballs could not even turn. This made Sima Yue's heart ache. However, he could not give up now. Otherwise, all the pain he suffered before would have been wasted. Chapter 2293. Once Sima Yue had guided the energy to his dantian and calmed it down. She said that it was done and Mo Yusheng immediately fainted. Sima Yue checked his body and made sure that he was fine before feeding him some pills to let him rest. "Yu, I'm sorry." Little Seven lowered her head as she blamed herself. Today's matter was too dangerous. If it wasn't for Sima Yue coming back to control him, Mo Yusheng might have been crippled. If the four god beasts couldn't gather, the consequences would be unimaginable. You were a little rash today, but you had good intentions. Luckily, this matter turned out okay. I won't punish you. When Yusheng wakes up, you can apologize to him yourself. Sima Yue said. Oh. Little Seven stood beside Mo Yusheng's bed, planning to wait for him to wake up. Sima Yue knew that she was blaming herself, so she didn't say much and went out with Hua Hua. The first person Mo Yusheng saw when he woke up was Little Seven. He blinked his eyes and then revealed a pure smile to Little Seven. Little Seven, have you been watching over me? You're finally awake. How is it? Does your body still hurt? Little Seven asked. It hurts. Mo Yusheng answered honestly. Sorry Yusheng, I shouldn't have let you eat the big radish. Little Seven apologized. It's okay, I ate it myself. Mo Yusheng didn't blame her. I think I saw Master before I fell asleep. Master even said that I could cultivate. You can cultivate, but you have to wait until your body recovers. Little Seven said. When you're better, I'll let you eat my essence, okay? Okay. Mo Yusheng didn't know what her essence was, but he knew that she was looking at him with a sad gaze. If this could make her feel less sad, then he would eat it. Sima Yue knew that he had woken up, so she opened the door and came to the bedside asking, How do you feel? My entire body hurts. Mo Yusheng looked at Sima Yue pitifully, like a child who had been hurt and was crying to his mother. Sima Yue sat beside the bed and gave him a checkup. She then took out a pill and fed it to him, saying, Your meridians and muscles have been ruptured by your spirit energy. Although you've taken this pill, it will take some time to recover. Master, I'm hungry, Mo said. Little Seven laughed. If you know that you're hungry, then it means that your condition isn't bad. I've made you some medicinal porridge. I'll bring it to you later. Sima Yu looked at him and thought of Wu Xiaodao and Wu Qiyao. They were the same age as him and liked to act coquettishly. She didn't know if they were well or not, and whether they were injured. This was the effect of Sima Yue. Was the Yue Yues during this period time. She Yue was Yue. When Fuxi and the others found out that Mo Yuxing had his first strand of spirit energy, they were so excited that they almost ran to the school. During this time, Mo Yulai came to visit Mo Yuxing once. She didn't know what the two brothers were talking about, but when Mo Yulai came out, his eyes were red and his steps were heavy. Sima Yue watched him leave and felt that he was carrying a heavy burden. Today, Mo Yuxing got up early in the morning and rummaged through his room and courtyard. After a while he ran over and said, "Master, where's my big radish?" "I put it away," Sima Yue said. "Master, give it to me. I want to eat a bite." Mo Yuxing reached out his hand. "No," Sima Yue refused. "Why? Can't you cultivate after eating that?" Mo Yuxing was getting better at expressing himself. Sima Yue found that after being with her, his intelligence seemed to have increased by quite a bit. "You only had your first strand of spirit energy after eating the herbs, but it's also very harmful to your body. We need to use a better method to cultivate and not this method, understand?" Sima Yue explained patiently. "Then how do I cultivate?" Mo Yuxing asked obediently. "Can you feel the spirit energy in the air now?" Sima Yue asked. "What's the spirit energy in the air?" Sima Yue taught him how to meditate, but no matter how hard he tried, he still couldn't feel the spirit energy in the air. Even if he used the spirit energy in his body, it was still the same. Sima Yue finally realized that Mo Yuxing really couldn't rely on this method to cultivate. She took out the big radish, cut a piece and placed it in his palm. Then she let him feel it and he finally felt the energy fluctuation. Thus she guided him to absorb the energy. As Mo Yuxing didn't know anything about cultivation and his intelligence was relatively low, it took her a lot of effort to teach him how to absorb the energy in the herbs. As he was still too weak and didn't know how to control himself, she strictly controlled the amount he cultivated. Every time, she would only cut a piece for him and give him the rest after he finished absorbing it. Knowing that Little Seven wanted to give her essence to him, she called Little Seven over to teach her a lesson. The energy in her essence was much stronger than these herbs. Mo Yuxing was so weak now. Even if he couldn't absorb a single drop, it would cause an accident. Little Seven was afraid that something like that day would happen again, so she didn't dare to give her essence to Mo Yuxing in private. "Teacher, where's your disciple? I haven't seen him in class recently," someone asked during class. "Why? Is there something you can't figure out and want to ask Yuxing?" Sima Yue was already familiar with her students and would occasionally joke with them. She knew that she wouldn't be their teacher and student for long, so she tried her best to help them broaden their path and let them walk further on the path of alchemy. "No way," the student who spoke denied. "It's just that he used to come with you every day. Now that I haven't seen him for a few days, I'm still not used to it. He probably won't come again," Sima Yue said. "He has his own things to do. After he could cultivate, he would be able to try alchemy himself. At that time, he wouldn't need to watch others refine pills." After class, Sima Yue's people blocked her way. Teacher Yue, a seductive girl, blocked her way outside the classroom. When she saw her come out, she handed her an invitation and said arrogantly, "Our master invites you to attend a banquet tomorrow night." "Who's your master?" Sima Yue didn't even look at the invitation. "It's the crown prince, right?" "That's right," that girl said proudly. "Our master is hosting a banquet to entertain the teachers of the various academies. He heard that you're good, so he sent you an invitation to attend tomorrow." "No need, I'm not interested." Sima Yue hadn't seen the crown prince before, but to be persuaded by the fourth prince to find trouble with her, it could be seen that he was a brainless person. As soon as she left, the woman suddenly took out a whip and attacked her. Chapter 2294. When the students came out of the classroom and saw this scene, a few of them cried out, "Teacher Yue, be careful." Just as the whip was about to touch Sima Yue's back, she disappeared from her original position. The students all let out a long sigh of relief. How could they forget that their teacher was very powerful? The girl did not think that Sima Yue would actually disappear from her original position without a sound. She looked around vigilantly, trying to see where Sima Yue was. However, the whip in her hand was suddenly snatched away and her body was ruthlessly whipped. Ah! The whip hit her body and she could not help but cry out in pain. This was not the end of the whip. Before she could react, the whip came from all directions and she could not retaliate at all. Her dress was torn, and one could even vaguely see places that should not be seen. Being beaten to this extent in public, the girl was extremely ashamed and angry. However, she did not even see Sima Yue's shadow. Sima Yue had whipped enough and slowly appeared in the air. She threw the whip in front of the girl and only said one word, "Scram." Then, she disappeared from her original position and returned to the small courtyard. The girl crawled up from the ground and looked at the students surrounding her. She whipped the ground and fiercely threatened, "If any of you continue to look, I will dig your eyes out." Dressing so flirtatiously in our academy and you still don't want others to look? Someone jeered. You better scram quickly. Don't wait for our teacher Yue to come back and slap you to death. I am the first prince's personal servant. You dare to bully me? Be careful of your little lives. The girl ran out after speaking. Some people were worried for Sima Yue. After all, the other party was the first prince. They were worried that the first prince would take revenge after brushing away his face. Teacher Yue is so powerful. Even the first prince can't do anything to her. This is the power of a strong person. We should obediently go back and cultivate. The group of onlookers finally left. Sima Yue returned to the small courtyard. Little Dream and Little Roar were playing in the courtyard while paying attention to Mou's movements. Seeing Sima Yue, Little Roar threw himself into her embrace and said, "Yu, why are you angry?" Although Sima Yu didn't put that woman in her eyes, she wasn't in a good mood after being disgusted by such a self-righteous person. Little Roar and her had a soul contract, so he could feel the minute changes. "I met someone who was blocking my way," she replied. "How's the rain?" "He's been cultivating in his room, and hasn't come out yet," Little Dream said. "I didn't expect his willpower to be so firm. After cultivating for so long, he didn't get impatient or anything." Mo Yuxing's mental age was only a few years old, and he was at the age where he was active. They thought that he would come out to play after cultivating for a while, but they didn't expect him to cultivate for 2 days without coming out. For someone as pure as him, once he has someone he wants to protect in his heart, he will be even more persistent. Sima Yue said, "Mo Yuxing is very lucky to have a younger brother like him." At this moment, there was a fluctuation in the house. Sima Yue and Little Dream looked towards Mo Yuxing's room in surprise. He advanced in rank? So fast. Little Roar came out from Sima Yue's embrace. "Yue, your disciple's talent is very good. He's a cultivator who went through calamity. How bad can his talent be?" Sima Yue said. Now he could cultivate, but where was the white tiger? It shouldn't be in the academy. Could it be that she had to bring it out to travel? If not, he wouldn't be able to form a contract with it even if he stayed in the academy. Sigh without a direction. She didn't know what the white tiger was going to do. Mo Yuxing successfully advanced in rank. When he opened the door and saw Sima Yue in the courtyard, he ran to her side and smiled. "Master, I advanced in rank." "Not bad." Sima Yue patted his head and said, "Continue to work hard. When you become stronger, you will be able to protect your 6th royal brother." "Master, give me the big radish. I will absorb it bit by bit," Mo Yuxing promised. "No, you have already advanced in rank so many times. Now you need to stabilize yourself. Otherwise, it will be very difficult to advance in rank in the future," Sima Yue said. "Do you have anything you want to do?" Mo Yuxing tilted his head and thought for a while before saying, "I want to see 6th royal brother and tell him that I advanced in rank. I'll ask the dean if I can contact your 6th royal brother." Sima Yue tried to say. If it's not convenient for your sixth royal brother, let's not disturb him, all right? All right. Sixth royal brother is in danger. You have to be careful. Mo Yuxing obediently replied. Sima Yue saw that he was so obedient and felt a little heartache for his sensible mentality. Actually, she could secretly bring him to see Mo Yuxing, and no one would find out. However, she did not want him to feel that he had to be sneaky in order to see his own brother. He could not understand all of this now. Teacher Yue. There was a knock on the door of the small courtyard. Sima Yue went to open the door, and saw that it was Dong Li, who she had not seen in a long time. Director Dong Li, you're back. Please come in. Sima Yue did not know many people in this academy, and was rather familiar with things. All right. Dong Li followed her into the courtyard. Mo Yuxing was rather happy to see him, and came in front of him to call him. He did not know how to hide his strength. Dong Li saw the fluctuations of spiritual energy on his body and looked at Sima Yue in shock, asking, he knows how to cultivate? Yes. He just started not long ago. Sima Yue did not say much and changed the topic, asking him, now that you're back, are you still going to leave? I won't be leaving for the time being. That's good. If he did not leave for the time being, it meant that the things they were doing in secret were going smoothly. Why are you here today? Sima Yue asked. It's like this. In 2 days, there will be a teachers' meeting. The emperor specifically asked you to attend. Dong Li looked at her with some difficulty. The academy did not have the strength to directly fight with the emperor. Now that the emperor wanted Sima Yue to appear as a teacher, the academy could not refuse. However, they all knew of Sima Yue's strength and did not dare to directly ask her. Invite me? Sima Yue frowned. The first prince's people had just been beaten back and now the emperor was here? Was this also the fourth prince's doing? Not only you, the seventh prince also wants to go that day. Dong Li said. I don't know if it's because he knows that you accepted the seventh prince as your disciple. 2 days later? Since Yuxing wants to go, then I'll bring him. She could bring him to see Mo Yuxing. Then we'll go together 2 days later. All right. Once Dong Li left, Mo Yuxing grabbed her sleeve and asked, Master, are we going to see sixth imperial brother? And in 2 days. In these 2 days, I'll teach you how to conceal your aura. Chapter 2295. In terms of cultivation, Mo Yuxing was really talented. He really learned the method of concealing his aura within 2 days. Now that he stood in front of others, no one would know that he could cultivate. Other than this, Sima Yue also left her soul imprint in his sea of consciousness. She even let Little Black turn into a black ribbon and wrap it around his hand. Mo Yuxing didn't understand why she did this, but he knew that she did it for his own good, so he didn't object. After everything was packed, Sima Yue brought Mo Yuxing to the dean. The dean, Dong Li, and 2 other heads were already waiting for them. When they arrived, they got on the beast carriage and drove towards the palace. The first carriage was for the dean and the other heads. Sima Yue brought Mo Yuxing and sat in the second carriage. Mo Yuxing had never seen the outside before. He excitedly pulled open the curtains and looked around. When he saw something fun, his eyes would light up and he would even dance with joy. Sima Yue kept looking at him with a smile. With such a pure personality, it was really hard to associate him with someone who was going through a tribulation. Master, the outside is really fun. Can we come out more often in the future? Mo Yuxing looked at her expectantly like a child. Do you like the outside? Sima Yue asked. I like it. There are so many things that I haven't seen before. Then Master will bring you to even further places in the future to see different people and things. How about it? Okay. When we reach the palace later, you have to follow me or your sixth brother. You can't be alone, okay? Sima Yue reminded. And I know. Mo Yuxing had Little Black and her soul imprint. She wasn't worried about his safety, but she wanted to be as low-key as possible. The beast carriage drove all the way to the palace's second gate. They had to walk after that. There were many beast carriages parked here. When Sima Yue and Mo Yuxing got off the carriage, they attracted a lot of attention. Those who were able to participate in this academy conference were all people with extraordinary positions in their respective academies. They were either the dean, the vice dean, or the outstanding person in charge of their respective academies. Thus, everyone knew each other. This was the first time he had seen an unfamiliar woman in such an occasion. Moreover, she had brought a young man with her. That youth was clearly mentally handicapped. How could two people like that participate in the academy assembly? Looking at the people around her, weren't they the stubborn old men from the Clear Wind Academy? Dean Hao, this is the academy assembly. Why did you bring irrelevant people here for? Could it be that your academy has no one, and you're looking for someone to make up the numbers? After a pot-bellied man finished speaking, the surrounding people all laughed. All of them had either sided with the first prince or the fourth prince. Regardless of which side they were on, none of them had any good feelings towards the Neutral Breeze Academy. Does our Clear Breeze Academy need to make up the numbers? Don't tell me you've forgotten that a single teacher from our academy defeated several of your teachers back then? Dean Hao had a smile on his face. His voice wasn't loud, but it was like a slap to that person's face. TSK, Dean Hao, you can't possibly think that the present is still the same as the past, right? Another tall and skinny man stepped forward and said, It's still unknown what results your Qingfeng Academy will achieve this year. Dean Hao, who is this young lady? If you've casually brought two people here, the Emperor will not allow you to play such tricks. Another person asked. Sima Yue was being sized up by these people. Some of them were scrutinizing her, some of them were provoking her, some of them were lustful, and some of them were too revealing, as if they wanted to do something to her. They looked at Mo Yuxing with all kinds of disgust and ridicule. Her gaze darkened and she released her aura, immediately suppressing everyone. PFFF. The people who spoke earlier were focused on by her, and couldn't withstand her pressure. They immediately spat out blood and fell to the ground after taking 2 steps back. The others looked at Sima Yue in horror. Who was this person? How could she have such a strong pressure? Dean Hao and the others stood beside Sima Yue, and were in a better state than the others. However, they still felt the pressure. Teacher. Mo Yuxing tugged on Sima Yue's sleeve. Only then did Sima Yue retract her pressure and coldly said, Before you ridicule others, you should first see if you have the qualifications to do so. Yuxing, let's go. Those royal brothers of yours probably can't wait to see you. After saying this, she pulled Mo Yuxing and walked into the palace. No one dared to say another word. The entire palace entrance was so quiet that water could drip out. Dean Hao and the others knew that Sima Yue was angry, so they didn't say anything and followed her in. After they left, those people slowly came back to their senses. They wiped the sweat off their foreheads and said, Who is this girl? How could she be so powerful? No matter who she is, she almost lost her life this time. Yo, he, she even dares to ridicule such a strong person. As expected, she's bold and doesn't care about her own life. That's not all. She's relying on the fact that she's from the first prince's faction. If that strong person gets angry and kills all of you, TSK, I'm afraid you won't even be able to withstand a single blow, right? Those people who spoke earlier were terrified. Their opponents were starting to hit them while they were down. Don't be happy too early. She came with the Clear Wind Academy. Your relationship with the Clear Wind Academy isn't good either. If we were to be killed, do you think you can escape? Sima Yue wasn't interested in the conversation behind her. She brought Mo Yuxing into the palace. The little eunuch who led the way felt his heart tremble. Fortunately, not long after, the emperor and the other princes came out to welcome them. This little eunuch could leave after accomplishing his mission. We are honored that the Venerable One has condescended to participate in the Academy Assembly. Emperor Mo Xiao bowed towards Sima Yue. The Emperor has invited the Clear Wind Academy. As a teacher of the Academy, I should come. Moreover, the Emperor has personally sent me an invitation. How can I disappoint the Emperor's good intentions? Sima Yue said with a faint smile. This made the faces of the people who came in behind her turn red. She was actually personally invited by the Emperor. Just now they had said that she could invite anyone she wanted. Sima Yue patted Mo Yuxing's hand and said, Yuxing, what did we talk about before? Master, I remember. Mo Yuxing let go of her sleeve and took 2 steps forward. He bowed towards Mo Xiao and said, "This son greets Imperial Father." Everyone present was stunned when they heard the words master and father. Mo Xiao looked at Mo Yuxing and asked with some doubt, "You are Yuxing?" "Yes, Imperial Father." Mo Yuxing stood up and returned to Sima Yoyue's back. He pulled on her sleeve. With so many people, it was safer to stay by Master's side. Chapter 2296. That fool was actually standing in front of them. This made the princes very unhappy, especially when they heard him call Sima Yue a master and pull on her sleeve. Such a powerful expert, such a beautiful woman, was actually this fool's master. Teacher Yue, how could you be Yuxing's master? The eldest prince, Mo Yuding, asked. Sima Yue saw that Mo Yuding was truly shocked. Mo Xiao and the others were also the same. She secretly thought that they didn't know before? Then how could Mo Yuxing participate? She looked at Mo Yulai, and Mo Yulai nodded at her without a trace. She raised her eyebrows. It was actually him? Mo Yuxing was a bit afraid of Mo Yuding. Hearing him say this, his body unconsciously trembled. He pulled on Sima Yoyue's sleeve and hid behind her. Sima Yue glanced at the eldest prince and said, "I found Yuxing pleasing to the eye, so I took him in as my disciple. What do I need to report to you?" Mo Yuding couldn't breathe from the pressure of her gaze, and his face turned red. Fortunately, Sima Yue didn't want to embarrass the eldest prince in front of everyone. She only gave him a warning before withdrawing her pressure. Mo Xiao turned around and glared at the eldest prince before smiling apologetically at Sima Yue. "This child is impolite. Teacher Yue, please don't mind him." Sima Yue gave a faint snort and didn't say anything. She also didn't have any intention of continuing. The emperor smiled and called for them to head to the venue. "Teacher Yue, where did you come from?" "Teacher Yue, when did you join Clear Wind Academy?" "Teacher Yue." The emperor talked to her the entire way, almost ignoring Dean Hao, Dong Li, and the other people from the other academies. However, Sima Yue didn't pay much attention to him. He asked 5 questions and she answered 1. But this didn't reduce the emperor's enthusiasm. Later on, the emperor also discovered this and changed his strategy. He began to ask about Mo Yuxing. When it came to Mo Yuxing, she would speak more, which made the emperor very happy. When they arrived at the venue, the emperor directly invited Sima Yue to sit beside him. Sima Yue did not stand on ceremony and brought Mo Yuxing to sit beside him. Mo Yuxing pulled Mo Yulai and was unwilling to come over. "Yuxing, be good. Imperial brother's seat is below." Mo Yu patted his hand, but Mo Yuxing refused to let go. "I want to sit with Imperial brother. Come and sit with us." Mo Yuxing held his hand and refused to let go. When she saw Sima Yue looking over, she looked at her for help. The emperor looked over and sized Mo Yulai up without leaving a trace, saying, "Yulai, you can sit next to Yuxing." "Yes, father." With the emperor's words, Mo Yulai sat next to Mo Yuxing. Thus, the seats became Sima Yue, Mo Yuxing, and Mo Yulai. Even the 4th prince, Mo Yushi, who had always been doted on by the emperor, had no choice but to sit behind him. The crown prince sat on the other side. Below him were the deans of the other academies. Behind them were the teachers of the various academies. Sima Yue sat in the main seat and did not pay attention to the people below. She also did not pay attention to what they were saying. She was cold the entire time. However, she was too strong and no one dared to complain. Sima Yue felt that this was not bad. Occasionally acting cold could block a lot of things. Of course, it was also because she had the strength now. If this happened to her 200 years ago, she would have been slapped to death. After sitting for a while, she found that Mo Yuxing was a bit impatient, so she said to the emperor, "Emperor, this is my first time coming to the palace. Can I take a look around?" "You want to take a look around the palace?" The emperor was stunned. "I'll accompany you." "No need. Let the 6th prince accompany us." Sima Yue said. "Yuxing is afraid of strangers. If there are strangers, he will feel uncomfortable." "That's fine." The emperor did not force it. For such a strong person, the best thing to do was to follow her wishes. Yulai, bring teacher Yue around the palace. Do not neglect her. This son obeys. Mo Yulai stood up and replied. Then, under everyone's gaze, he left with Sima Yue and Mo Yuxing. After the three left the main hall, Mo Yuxing grabbed Mo Yulai's sleeve and said happily, "Sixth brother, was my performance good?" "Very good." Mo Yulai smiled and said, "Yuxing has grown up." Mo Yuxing whispered into his ear, "Sixth brother, I'll tell you a secret. I can cultivate now." "Really?" Although Mo Yulai was asking Mo Yuxing, he was looking at Sima Yue. Sima Yue nodded and said, "Not only can I cultivate, but my talent is also not bad. It's just that my cultivation method is a little different." Mo Yulai did not know what she meant by different, but knowing that he could cultivate made him very happy. "After today, there will be more people coming to seek refuge with you," Sima Yue said. Mo Yulai bowed to her and said, "Today's matter was because I had no other choice. Please forgive me, senior." "Things are not going well?" Sima Yue asked. "Those who have a bit of strength look down on me. A prince who has always been guarding the imperial mausoleum, and neglected by my father. The principal and the others went to contact some of them, but they returned without success. That's why I thought of this method," Mo Yulai said. Now that those people knew that he had a good relationship with Sima Yue, and the emperor had noticed him, his situation would be much better in the future. "What did you say to the emperor?" Sima Yue asked. "Actually, it wasn't me who said it. I only asked them to talk about what happened at the entrance of the academy that day in front of my father," Mo Yulai said. "After that, my father called fourth brother over to ask about it." So Sima Yue's matter was actually told by Mo Yushi. "Master, sixth brother is in danger in the imperial palace. Can we help him?" Mo Yuxing said. "If I didn't help him, he probably wouldn't be in one piece right now." Sima Yue snorted. She had always used others since she was young. This was the first time she was used by someone else. "I knew that master was the best," Mo Yuxing said with a smile. Seeing his smile, the bit of unhappiness in Sima Yue's heart dissipated. "Does the emperor not have long to live?" Sima Yue asked Mo Yuxing. "Right, my father's body is getting weaker by the day. He shouldn't be able to hold on for much longer. That's why eldest brother and fourth brother are fighting so fiercely," Mo Yulai said. "Do you want to save him?" "Save? I don't have the ability to save him." Mo Yulai muttered. Saving him might not be a good thing for the commoners. Chapter 2297. Sima Yue let the two brothers meet to fulfill Mo Yuxing's wish to see Mo Yulai. Seeing the two brothers chatting so enthusiastically, she couldn't help but think about what would happen if Mo Yuxing went to the divine realm and couldn't see each other. When it was about time, she waved her hand at Mo Yuxing and said, "We should go back." Mo Yuxing was very happy to be able to chat with Mo Yulai for so long. He obediently came to Sima Yue's side and asked, "Master, can I come out and find sixth brother in the future?" "You can, but you can't come out alone. You have to come with me." Sima Yue also wanted him to come out and see more and increase his knowledge, so she readily agreed. "Really? Master, you're too good." Mo Yuxing was very happy. "Alright, their banquet is over. We should go back." Sima Yue glanced at the side of the imperial garden and reached out to grab Mo Yuxing. The two people's figures slowly disappeared from their original spot. The emperor and the others came over just in time to see them leave. This made the emperor feel very regretful. If he came a minute earlier, wouldn't he be able to talk to her? "Yulai, what did you talk to her about?" the emperor asked. "Do you know her background?" This son asked, but she didn't say anything. Mo Yuxing said. "Then what did she say after you came out for so long?" the emperor asked. "She didn't talk much. She only said a lot about my cultivation," Mo Yuxing said. "She gave you pointers on your cultivation?" The princes looked at him with resentment. Such a good opportunity was actually given to this useless prince who had no power or influence. The emperor sized him up and nodded. "She's very powerful. To be able to get her pointers is a once-in-100 years opportunity. This son thinks so too. After Master Yoyue's pointers, the differences from before are now clear. This son feels that I've benefited a lot. Mo Yuxing replied. Let's take a walk in the Imperial Garden. Tell me how she gave you pointers. The Emperor said to the others, You're all tired today. Go back and rest. This meant that Mo Yuxing was going to accompany him. The princes glared at Mo Yulai and left unwillingly. After leaving the Imperial Palace, the first prince and the fourth prince gathered together to discuss today's matter. Both sides came to the same conclusion. Mo Yu was too dangerous and must be eliminated. Although the sixth prince doesn't have anyone by his side, he has a good relationship with the seventh prince since they were young. Now that the seventh prince had acknowledged that woman as his master, wouldn't that woman stand on his side? Today's matter is the best proof. She doesn't even put the emperor in her eyes, but let the sixth prince accompany them to tour the imperial palace. She gave him pointers. Isn't it all because of the seventh prince's face? That's right. If he manages to win Yue over, wouldn't he have the strongest support? At that time, not only will he have her help, I'm afraid that even the Clear Wind Academy behind her will follow him. Not only that, but there are also a few neutral forces. They are now neutral because they don't know who will win in this competition. If they knew about Teacher Yoyue's existence, I'm afraid they would immediately make a decision. What kind of decision would that be? There was no need for them to say more. Everyone was well aware of it. This was a big threat to them. If they wanted to get rid of this threat, there was only one way, and that was to take drastic measures to completely resolve this matter before it happened. But who did this person want to go? Both sides wanted the other side to make a move, but if the other side also thought the same, then no one would make a move. In the end, both sides sent people to strangle the trouble in the cradle. When Mo Yu came out of the imperial palace, it was already very late. The emperor pulled him aside and said a lot. He knew that this was a good sign, but he also knew that this was a very dangerous matter. From the imperial palace to his mansion, there was a road to the ghost realm. Master, should we take another road back? His guard followed him out of the imperial palace and asked. Other road? Do we want to make a bet that there are people waiting for us on every road from here to the mansion? Mo Yu said with a smile. Then wouldn't it be dangerous wherever we go? Even if it's dangerous, we still have to go. From the moment we took that step, there was no turning back. Let's go. Don't let them wait too long. Mo Yu said and walked forward. Just as he said, there were two groups of people waiting for him on every road from the imperial palace to his mansion. No matter which road he took, he would encounter an ambush. When those people saw him, they didn't say much nonsense and directly came to kill him. Originally, they thought that he was just a baby who hadn't grown up, wasn't strong, and didn't have any capable people by his side, so he should be easy to deal with. They didn't expect that some people would come out of nowhere and kill all the people who came to assassinate him. I didn't expect you to have people by your side. An old man appeared on the roof next to him, looking at Mo Yu with eyes full of killing intent. They had actually misjudged Mo Yulai. Mo Yulai had secretly developed a force that wasn't weak. If they waited for him to rope in the Clear Wind Academy, the first prince and the fourth prince wouldn't have any power to resist. What he didn't know was that these people were sent by the Qingfeng Academy to protect him. When they asked me to come, I thought they were making a big fuss over nothing. Only now do I feel that this decision was wise. If I don't kill you today, you will definitely be a disaster when you grow up tomorrow. The old man condensed his spirit power and turned it into a spirit skill to attack below. The people following Mo Yu were no match for this old man, and were all beaten down in a few moves. Mo Yu looked at the people around him, but there was no panic on his face. He was just a little surprised. He didn't know who sent such a strong person to kill him. Was it the first prince or the fourth prince? The old man finished off those people and landed in the middle of the street, blocking in front of Mo Yu. He smiled evilly and said, I have already set up a barrier here. Everything that happens here won't be known to anyone, and no one will come to save you. After saying that, he used a spirit skill to attack Mo Yu. Mo Yu was imprisoned by his pressure and couldn't move. He could only watch as the spirit skill got closer and closer to him. Bang! The old man's spirit skill was reflected the moment it was about to touch him. If it wasn't for his quick reaction, he would have been injured by his own spirit skill. "Who is it?" he shouted. Mou's body emitted a soft white light, and a faint shadow was faintly discernible in the white light. Chapter 2298. Sima Yue looked at the old man and said, "You do have some strength. No wonder you were able to activate the soul imprint I left behind. Who are you?" The old man looked at Sima Yue. He did not expect her to be so strong despite her young age. "Shouldn't you have guessed who I am? If it wasn't for me, I'm afraid you wouldn't have been invited out today," Sima Yue said. "You're that woman called Yue." The old man was shocked. Of course he had heard of Sima Yue. Otherwise, why would the first prince invite him out? It was to ensure that nothing would go wrong. However, they had still underestimated her strength. Even his barrier couldn't stop her, but she could still appear silently. If her soul imprint was so strong, then how strong was she herself? When he thought of this, he did not have the confidence to face Sima Yue and wanted to retreat. Just as his body floated backwards, he found himself trapped. Barrier. He did not feel the existence of the barrier at all. "Since you're here, then stay. End this quickly." Sima Yue's voice was slightly lazy, but this laziness took the life of a strong cultivator. Killed the person, but she still obtained the aura she wanted from his consciousness after his death. The person who sent him is the first prince. She waved her hand and burned the corpse on the ground. "I've already guessed it. Fourth brother has already seen how strong you are and knows that normal spirit paragons are not your match. Therefore, he would not casually send such a strong cultivator." After experiencing life and death, Mouli was still afraid. His palms were sweaty and his inner clothes were drenched in cold sweat. Although he did not lose his aura, he was not as fearless as he appeared. Sima Yue looked at him, forcing himself to be stubborn, and sighed, saying, "Let's go, I'll send you back." "Thank you." Mouli secretly sighed in relief. The commotion just now should have attracted the attention of the other assassins. Most of the people sent by the academy to protect him were already dead. If she could send him back, then his journey would be safe. After tonight, he would be able to break through the current situation, and his future path would be much easier. Sima Yue sent him home and said, "1 year." "What?" Mouli did not know what she meant and subconsciously turned his head to look at her. "1 year. I'll stay here. After 1 year, I'll bring Yuxing outside to train." Sima Yue disappeared after she finished speaking. Mouli was stunned before he understood what she meant. She would stay here for a year, which meant she would protect him in this 1-year period. 1 year? That's Yui to Yue. From tomorrow onwards, everything would be different. Sima Yue returned to her small courtyard. Mouli did not know that she had gone out, and did not know that his beloved sixth brother had just gone through a dangerous situation. He was still cultivating because his master said that he would bring him to see his sixth brother after he advanced. After he advanced and could cultivate flames, he would tell his master that he wanted to try refining pills. In the past, he could only watch others refine pills. Now that he could cultivate, he would definitely be able to refine pills. A year passed in the blink of an eye. Sima Yue felt that this year was especially long. Perhaps it was because she was worried about the white tiger that she could not truly relax and enjoy life. Bang! The sound of an explosion came from the alchemy room. Not long later, Mouli walked out with a dejected expression. He had failed again. Mouli looked at Sima Yue and felt that he did not have the face to see his master anymore. He had clearly followed his master's instructions to refine the pills. He had also studied every step thoroughly. Why did the furnace explode? "Master!" he softly called out. Sima Yue looked at Mouli. She did not know if it was because he had started cultivating, but his wisdom had also grown. Now, it seemed that he already had the wisdom of a 10-year-old. Sima Yue initially tried to find the reason why his furnace exploded. Later on, she realized that the reason was not because of the process of refining pills, but because of the matter itself. In other words, no matter how familiar he was with refining pills and how perfect the process was, he would not succeed. The heavenly Tao would not allow him to succeed. Don't be discouraged. Perhaps it's because you don't have enough flames now. The flames that you cultivate are always a little lacking compared to the flames of your contracted beasts, or the deviant flames that you absorb into your body. Sima Yue consoled him. Really? When have I ever lied to you? Sima Yue asked him. I just thought about it. I will find you a fire attribute contracted beast. It's best if it has its own spiritual fire. This way, when you refine pills, you can try it out and see if it's because of this. Then let's hurry and contract it. Mo Yuli's disappointment was swept away. His fighting spirit was high again. As always, he was easy to coax. We have to leave for a long time, so let's go and greet the people we know, Sima Yue said. All right, let's go. Mo Yuli pulled Sima Yue and left the small courtyard. Sima Yue took a look at the place where she had lived for more than a year. After leaving today, she probably would not return. She and Mo Yuli went to find the dean and told him that she was leaving. Dean Hao was silent for a while. I knew that this day would come, but I didn't expect it to be so fast. Thank you for taking care of me during this period of time. Sima Yue said. We should be the ones saying this to you. If it wasn't for you, our academy might not have existed a year ago. Dean Hao waved his hand. Ever since that day of the academy's meeting, their situation with Mo Yuli had improved a lot. It allowed them to open up a new path. Later on, when those powers supported Mo, they were moved by his personality and sincerely supported him, allowing him to quickly rise up and become a prince who was even more important than the first prince and fourth prince. Everything was a matter of course. All of this was because of her. Will you come back after leaving? Dong Li asked. Sima Yue shook her head. I probably won't come back. Chapter 2299. When Mo Yuli saw that Sima Yue had brought Mo Yuxing along, he guessed what was going on. Sixth brother, I'm going to travel with master. In this year, the two brothers had changed a lot. The only thing that didn't change was the relationship between them. And, take care of yourself when you go out. Listen to your master, and don't run around, or do anything dangerous, understand? Mo Yuli warned. I know, sixth brother. Wait here for me to come back. Mo Yuxing nodded seriously. And I'll wait here for you. Mo Yuli patted his shoulder and smiled at him. Obviously, he didn't know what his departure meant. He thought that he was simply going to contract a spirit beast, but he didn't know that he was going to embark on a difficult journey. He looked at Sima Yue and said, I'll leave everything to you. I will. Sima Yue nodded. If she didn't die, Mo Yuxing would definitely be alive. If she died, Mo Yuxing's fate wouldn't be good either. After they left Mo Yuli's place, they didn't immediately leave. Instead, they went to Fushi's place. They didn't expect to be stared at with jealousy as soon as they entered. More accurately speaking, that gaze was staring at the hand that Mo Yusheng was using to pull Sima Yu's sleeve. Sima Yue looked at Wu Lingyu in surprise and said, When did you come back? Just now. Wu Lingyu pulled Sima Yue over and said, How old are you? You're still letting him hold you. Mo Yuxing was frightened by Wu Lingyu's gaze and hid behind Sima Yue. He's timid, don't scare him, Sima Yue said. Then she said to Mo Yuxing, This is my husband. You call him Grandmaster? Puffed. Fushi and the others laughed from behind, especially when they saw Wu Lingyu's face that couldn't be any darker. Everyone laughed even more happily. Mo Yuxing was puzzled for a few seconds, but he still came out from behind Sima Yue and bowed respectfully towards him, shouting, Grandmaster. Ha ha ha. Wu Lingyu's face was extremely dark. Wah wah wah. A baby's cry startled everyone. Only then did they remember that Bai Yuyan was already 3 months old. When she and Bai Xiaofei quickly went to coax the child, Sima Yue looked at Bai Yuyan. She knew what Bai Xiaofei and when she were thinking. If they could succeed, then it would be fine. If they failed in the end, the 4 great ferocious beasts would definitely not let them go. At the very least, they would have a crystallization of love. She thought of Wu Xiaodao and Wu Qiao. After leaving for more than a year, she wondered how the two little guys were doing. Very quickly, the two of them managed to coax by Yuyan. Sima Yue said, "Let's get ready to go. Black Tortoise, can you give us a direction?" Azure Dragon of the East, White Tiger of the West, Vermilion Bird of the South, Black Tortoise of the North. If we want to find White Tiger, we have to go to the west, Black Tortoise said. Sima Yue was speechless. Azure Dragon of the East, White Tiger of the West, Vermilion Bird of the South, Black Tortoise of the North. Was this sentence supposed to be used at this time? She felt that Black Tortoise was a little unreliable. Instead, she looked at Fushi. Fushi nodded towards him and said, "We did a divination for White Tiger. Maybe it's because we're close, unlike before when there was nothing. We received some predictions that White Tiger is in the west." The west. Then the range is too big. From what I know, there are many mountain ranges in the west. If we go one by one, how long will it take? Sima Yue said. There's no other way. There's only this hint. If we can divine more, the 4 great ferocious beasts can too. Fushi said. Then we can only go one by one. Sima Yue sighed. Since Yuxing is fated with him, maybe he can give us some help when the time comes. Mo Yuxing listened to their discussion. He had no idea what they were talking about. He only knew that after they finished speaking, everyone looked at him with an expectant look. This made him a little scared. Then you guys pack up. We'll go to the west. Sima Yue said and went to his room with Wu Lingyu to talk. Although Mo Yuxing had become more familiar with everyone in this year, he was still a little scared. Luckily, Bai Yuyan attracted his attention, so he wasn't as scared as he was while waiting. The next morning, Sima Yue started messing around in the courtyard. Mo Yuxing saw her looking here and there. He didn't know what she was doing. He stayed in the courtyard for as long as she was messing around. "Master, what are you doing? Do you need Yuxing's help?" Mo Yuxing asked. "No need, you can just stay there." Sima Yue was afraid that he would come over and ruin the array she had just drawn, so she stopped him. Oh. Mo Yuxing, who had just stood up, squatted back down. After Sima Yue finished setting up the array, everyone appeared in the courtyard one after another. Sima Yue activated the array and disappeared from the courtyard with everyone. Mo Yuxing came to the courtyard and saw the broken array stones. He stared at the array stones for a long time, until Dean Hao came to find him. "They've already left." Dean Hao sighed. "Yes, they've already left," Mo Yuxing said. "I don't know what kind of danger awaits us. I hope Yuxing can come back safely." "He will come back." Dean Hao looked at the array stones. He has Teacher Yue by his side. There won't be any problems. I believe in her. He believed in her. They all believed in her. However, even she wasn't 100% confident in this matter. When Sima Yue and the rest came out of the array, they happened to be in a mountain range. They didn't know where this mountain was located. Little Roar went to trick a spirit beast over, and asked about the situation here clearly. This place was called Fenglai Mountain. It was the mountain range closest to Clear Wind Academy, and was also the largest mountain range. If the White Tiger was in the west, the possibility of it being in this mountain range was higher. However, they stayed here for half a year and searched the entire mountain range, but they didn't find any news about the White Tiger. Not to mention the White Tiger, they didn't even find a normal tiger. Thus, after half a year, they left Fenglai Mountain and continued to head west to the next mountain range. The next mountain range was also larger, and the area here was no longer under the Mo Empire's control. Based on their previous experience, they directly asked if there were any tiger-type spirit beasts. After confirming that there were, they began to search the mountain range. 5 months later, they left in disappointment again. The next 2 mountain ranges were also fruitless. The group of people was about to be discouraged. Chapter 2300. Mo Yuxing saw that everyone was looking at him, so he shivered and said softly, "Yuxing doesn't know." "Yuxing, don't be afraid. Just tell us, if it was you, where would you go next?" "It's okay, just tell us what you think." Sima Yue comforted. Mo Yuxing looked around and casually pointed in a direction. Everyone's mouth twitched. That's the direction we came from. Ah. I didn't know, sorry. Mo Yuxing said apologetically. Then are we still going back? When she hugged Bai Yuyan and asked. Yes, yes. Bai Yuyan was already 2 years old and was learning how to speak. Everyone looked at Sima Yue. Sima Yue thought about it and looked at Wu Lingyu. Seeing that he didn't object, she said, since Yuxing pointed in that direction, then let's go back. I remember, when we came from the mountain range in front, we passed by a small mountain range. At that time, that mountain range was too small, so we didn't go down. Wu Lingyu said. The others also remembered that there was such a mountain range. At that time, they didn't go down because that mountain range was too small. Although it was called a mountain range, it was actually just a few mountains. The total area was only a few tens of kilometers. They all felt that the white tiger wouldn't be in such a small place, so they didn't go down. Since we're going back, then even if it's such a small place, we should still take a look. Bai Xiaofei said. And, since we don't have a direction, why don't we take a look? Fuxi said. Thus the group flew back in the direction they came from. In order not to miss out on the small mountain range in the middle, they used flying beasts to rest instead of using teleportation arrays. As long as there was a mountain, even if it was just a mountain, they would go down to take a look. Their actions were without a plan, and because they had no direction, they could only do this. Even so, they still didn't find anything. If I find this white tiger, I will definitely skin him and make a tiger fur coat. Black Tortoise snorted. Old Grandpa, don't be angry. There are so many of us, we will definitely find him. Mo Yuxing said. Everyone was anxious. Only he didn't know what was going on, but he still comforted Black Tortoise optimistically. We're running out of time. Black Tortoise sighed. Black Tortoise, did you feel anything? Crimson Flame asked him. Black Tortoise nodded and said in a heavy tone, I feel that something very dangerous will happen. I think that when we received the white tiger's information, they should have already guessed it. 2 years is enough for them to find us. Those beasts are coming again? When she subconsciously hugged Bai Yiyan tightly, she still had lingering fears about the strength of those people on the small island the last time, especially now that she had a child with Bai Xiaofei. When something happens, take the child and leave first. Bai Xiaofei said. No, I want to follow you. When she said, if anyone passes by later, leave our child there. We'll come back to pick her up after the matter is settled. That's not safe either, Fuxi said. If they're affected, they might not be able to protect the children. Yue, let them go to the spirit pagoda. But I can. But if something happens to me, they won't be able to come out from there. Sima Yue said. Aren't there people from Blood Fiend City in there? They can live in there for so long. If Yuyan can grow up safely there, there's nothing bad about it, Bai Xiaofei said. All right then, Sima Yue nodded. If she died, something would happen to the spirit pagoda, but it wouldn't be broken. Maybe they would meet other owners in the future, and they would be able to come out. Didn't it have many owners in the past? Then again, things might not develop to that stage. Mo Yuxing didn't know what happened, but he could feel that everyone was different from before. Even his master was the same. In front of us is the small mountain range that we passed by before. Fuxi looked at the small mountain range. This was the closest mountain range to the big mountain range from before. If there was still no news of the white tiger, then they could only go back to the mountain range from before. This feeling of searching like a headless fly was really not good. Just as they got close to the mountain range, many people walked out of the space. Hundreds and thousands of people surrounded them. This formation was much bigger than the one on Black Tortoise's island. Seems like they put in a lot of effort. Fuxi mocked. There are so many people. Even if we want to kill them, it would take a lot of effort. Bai Xiaofei said. Yue, we'll have to trouble you. Sima Yue nodded and kept Wenxi and Bai Yuyan into the spirit pagoda. This was what Bai Xiaofei requested before. He didn't want Wenxi to follow her. After all, her strength was too low compared to these people. Sima Yue wanted to keep Mo Yuxing into the spirit pagoda, but he grabbed her sleeve and said fearfully, Master, someone is calling me over. Everyone's face lit up. When Sima Yue formed a contract with Crimson Flame, she followed his call to the cave. Now they didn't hear anything, but he did. Wasn't this the white tiger calling him? Really? Did you hear where the sound came from? Black Tortoise asked. It seems to be in the mountain in front. Mo Yuxing said with uncertainty. You bring him to the small mountain in front. Leave this place to us. Crimson Flame said. Okay. I'll leave some ancient war souls for you. Sima Yue waved her hand and thousands of ancient war souls protected them in the middle. She then pulled Mo Yuxing's hand and the two of them disappeared from the sky. Those people also noticed that Sima Yue and Mo Yuxing disappeared. Their main target this time was the White Tiger contractor. Seeing that he disappeared, the leader said, "Chase after those two. Since you're here, then stay. Why are you leaving?" Fushi said. He transformed into the Azure Dragon and took the lead to attack. No matter what, they had to delay these people and let Sima Yue and Mo Yuxing find the White Tiger and form a contract with it. Sima Yue brought Mo Yuxing out of the space. At this moment, she didn't care whether Mo Yuxing understood or not. She looked at him and said, "Yuxing, find the divine beast that summoned you and form a contract with it. Do you understand?" "Master, will the white tiger that I contracted be able to help you?" Mo Yuxing asked. Chapter 2301. Mo Yuxing nodded his head and pointed to a mountain. Sima Yue did not expect that after searching so many places and climbing so many mountains, the white tiger would actually be in such an unremarkable mountain. "Let's go over." She pulled Mo Yuxing and teleported to the mountain that he pointed to. It was ordinary and did not even have a bit of spiritual energy. If it was not for Mo Yuxing saying that the white tiger was here, they would have thought that it was a place for mortals to cultivate. Sensing the fluctuations in the air, she let go of Mo Yuxing's hand and said, "Yuxing, the enemy is here. I have to stay here, and cannot go down with you. Follow the white tiger's voice and find it. After you find it, contract it. Little Black, Little Roar, you two go with him." Little Black was strong, and although Little Roar was usually unreliable, he knew a lot. With the two of them accompanying him, she would be more at ease. An attack flew over from the sky and Sima Yue condensed a shield to block it. Then she let Little Roar grow bigger and threw Mo Yuxing up. A few spiritual energies flew over, and Sima Yue shouted for them to leave quickly. Little Roar brought Mo Yuxing and ran. Sima Yue saw that they had left and turned around to attack the sky. Little Roar's speed was very fast. Mo Yuxing, who was on his back, almost fell off. Fortunately, Little Black, who was attached to his body, protected him and prevented him from falling off. "Thank you," Mo Yuxing said gratefully. "Where is the white tiger?" Little Black asked indifferently. "To the left," Mo Yuxing said. Little Roar ran to the left and stopped not long after. In front of them was a cliff. "Why do these fellows like to stay under the cliff?" Little Roar muttered. "Go down," Mo Yuxing said. "Go down your ass. The white tiger must have set something up here so that we can't fly," Little Roar said. Little Roar turned around and looked. Sima Yue had pulled back most of the people, but there were still people chasing after them. Seeing that they were about to catch up, it was too late for them to turn around now. "Jump," Little Black said. "It's so high. Even if you don't fall half to death, you'll still be crippled," Little Roar roared. Little Black came out from Mo Yuxing's body and appeared behind them. Then it kicked Little Roar's butt. "CKU big black dog, just you wait." Little Roar's unwilling voice came from below, slowly becoming softer. Little Black turned around to look at the people who were chasing after them. Its body turned into a black fog and quickly flew towards them, enveloping them all in the black fog. By the time he left, all that was left of those people were a pile of bones. After dealing with the first batch of people, the black fog slowly slid down the cliff. Little Roar brought Mo down. Since he couldn't fly, he could only watch helplessly as he fell to the ground. When Mo Yuxing fell, he fell off his back. If he fell to the ground like this, he would definitely turn into a pile of meat paste. If he died, How was he going to contract the white tiger? He swung his legs in the air, and for the first time, he felt that his short legs were in the way. He tried his best to get closer to Mo Yusheng. Seeing that he was about to fall to the ground, Mo Yusheng hugged him tightly and turned his back down, preparing to be his meat cushion. The pain that he expected did not come. The moment before he fell, he felt some kind of force dragging him up. When he landed again, it did not have the same force as before. Nothing happened? He let go of Mo Yusheng and climbed up from the ground. He waved his claws and shook his butt. There was really no injury at all. Little Black followed the cliff and appeared at the bottom. Seeing Little roar like this, he was extremely disgusted. He looked at Mo Yusheng and said, "There are more and more people coming from outside. You can't hold on any longer. She will definitely use lightning tribulation later. You should hurry up and contract it, then leave this place." "Where is the white tiger?" Little Roar asked Mo Yusheng. Mo Yusheng pointed at the cave behind him. "Let's go in. Come up quickly." Mo Yusheng knew that time was tight. He climbed onto Little Roar's back and prepared to enter the cave. However, he found that they were blocked by a force. "We can't go in." Little Roar extended his claws and poked at the barrier in front of him. Little Black tried, but he was also blocked outside. Thus he said to Mo Yusheng, "You try." Mo Yusheng slid down from Little Roar's back and arrived in front of the cave. He did not dare to go in. "You're a man. What are you afraid of? Go." Little Roar's claws slapped his back. He subconsciously staggered forward and then went in just like that. Little Black and Little Roar were not surprised. They said to him, "Since only you can go in, then you can only go in by yourself. Go, it's waiting for you inside." Mo Yusheng was still a little scared. "Little guy, what are you still standing there for? Go quickly. You can't hold on any longer. If you're late, how are you going to help her? Not only will you not be able to help her, you won't even be able to see her one last time before she dies." Little Roar roared. When Mo Yusheng heard that Sima Yue was going to die, his body trembled. He did not care about how scary the cave was as he turned around and ran inside. "This guy really won't stop." Little Roar shouted. "You stay here and guard. I'll go help you." Little Black said. "Why do you want me to stay here and guard? I want to go too." Little Roar protested. "Can you climb up?" Little Black gave him a look. It was a look of pure, undisguised contempt. "You." Little Roar went up to bite him. He had already turned into a black fog and climbed up the cliff. "You big black dog, just you wait. I'll deal with you later." That kick just now and the contempt now, he wanted to get back at him. Little Black returned to the cliff and saw that Sima Yue had already called out all the beasts and the remaining ancient war souls. However, the other party had also sent reinforcements. At a glance, it was a black mass. It seemed that other than the 4 great fierce beasts, most of the people from the 4 palaces had come. That's good too. I'll just cut off the 4 great fierce beasts' wings first. There are too many of them. We can't hold on any longer. Little Seven shouted. Sima Yue wiped the blood from the corner of her lips. She looked at those people and laughed coldly. Just nice that I haven't advanced to monarch yet. I'll let you all advance with me. All of you protect me. All the beasts knew that she was planning to advance at this moment. Hence, they all came to her side and protected her in the center, giving her time and space to advance. Sima Yue released all the energy that she had suppressed previously. As she had already prepared for a long time, everything went smoothly. Not long later, she was enveloped by the light of her advancement. She has advanced to monarch. Those people saw the light of her advancement and shouted, "Don't bother about her. The white tiger hasn't contracted yet. Go and find the white tiger's contractor first." "Yes, Palace Master." "Palace Master?" Sima Yue looked at the symbol of Tao Tai Palace on his body and laughed. "Just nice. You all don't have to go. Stay here and accompany me." Chapter 2302. The tribulation clouds in the sky came very quickly. In just a few minutes, the sky turned dark and the day turned into night. Fortunately, there were no spiritual beasts in this mountain, and there were no people nearby. Otherwise, they would have to go through the tribulation with her. Sima Yu flew in the sky and raised her head to look at the dark tribulation clouds. She secretly thought that these people were really powerful. Otherwise, they would not have been able to upgrade her tribulation to this extent. It was almost as strong as the lightning tribulation that her maternal grandfather had experienced. Back then, her grandfather's tribulation was because he went against the Heavenly Tao's restriction and advanced. The Heavenly Tao wanted to kill him. That was why the tribulation was so powerful. But she was different. Her soul had the aura of the primal chaos world, and she had been consuming the primal chaos river for a long time. When she advanced, she did not feel any obstruction from the Heavenly Tao. Therefore, this tribulation was just an ordinary tribulation. But such an ordinary tribulation was enough to raise the strength of the people who were supposed to go through the tribulation together. Those people felt that they were targeted by the tribulation lightning and panicked. Don't bother about the tribulation lightning. Go find the contractor of White Tiger. Even if we die today, we have to kill him. Taotai Palace Master shouted. If the contractor of White Tiger did not die today, their family members would die. They were going through the tribulation here. It was okay if they died, but they could not implicate their family members. Therefore, many people did not bother about the tribulation lightning and ran towards the mountaintop. Little Purple, Little Flame, stop them! Sima Yue shouted and attacked those people. With a wave of Little Purple's claws, a flash of lightning appeared. Xiaohua directly turned into a line of fire and swept forward. Those who were struck by Little Purple's lightning or touched by Xiaohua lost their lives on the spot. But there were too many of them. Some people still rushed to the mountaintop. There is a flying restriction here. We can't go down. Then jump down. We have to think of a way to go down. Therefore, they thought of all kinds of ways to go down. Some jumped down directly, some pulled others along and prepared to let others be their scapegoat. Some called out their flying beasts and called for a large group of people to go down together. Seeing that they were about to fly down the cliff, Sima Yue shouted, "Cloud Spirit!" The Cloud Spirit was still brewing, because it sensed that someone else was coming. However, Sima Yue couldn't wait any longer, so it had to release the lightning bolts. Lightning bolts fell from the sky, and one of them landed on the flying beast at the edge of the cliff. The flying beast and the person on its back were burnt to a crisp. When the lightning tribulation began, Sima Yue recalled her beasts into her spirit pagoda. She walked to the edge of the cliff and jumped down with her eyes closed. Her body was quite strong, so she might not die if she jumped down. Furthermore, Little Roar was waiting for her below. When Little Roar saw Sima Yue coming down, he released a gentle force to support her, allowing her to land safely on the ground. Yu, we can't enter from here. Little Roar pointed at the cave and said, "If I can't get in, then I'll guard here. You can go back first." She kept Little Roar back into the spirit pagoda and stood outside the cave. As long as she saw someone coming down, she would attack first. After that, some people came from the back of the mountain. It seemed like they knew that the path at the top of the mountain would not work, so they took a detour. Sima Yue didn't need to care about the power of the lightning tribulation. She only needed to focus on dealing with those people. There were many people from the other side. Luckily, there was the help of the lightning tribulation. She was able to stop them from getting close to the cave. The battle outside was in full swing, but the inside of the cave was not affected at all. This cave was not very deep, and Mo Yuxing walked for a while before reaching the innermost part. A little white cat was lying on the straw in the cave, as if it was sleeping. Mo Yuxing wasn't afraid. He walked over and patted the white tiger's head, saying, "Are you the white tiger? Are you the one who summoned me?" The white tiger gently lifted its eyelids. When it saw Mo Yuxing's pure eyes, it howled at him. "Aren't you the white tiger? Master said that the white tiger is very powerful, but you look like a kitten." Mo Yuxing raised the white tiger in confusion and looked at it seriously. The white tiger didn't care about his silly look. It turned its head and bit his finger. Mo Yuxing felt the pain on his finger and subconsciously threw the white tiger to the ground. The white tiger crawled up from the ground and touched its lips with its claws. It was stained with Mo Yuxing's blood. It watched as the blood flowed from its fur into its body. It felt that the power in its body had been swept away, and it felt comfortable all over. Roar. It roared towards the sky, and its voice shook the heavens. Mo Yuxing was close to it, and was immediately shaken to the point of dizziness. For a moment, he couldn't even remember where he was and what he was doing. Therefore, he didn't know how the white tiger contracted with him. When he felt the connection with the white tiger, he knew that they had already become one. The power of the contract flowed through his body, and he felt that every part of his body was in pain. It wasn't because of the contract, but because something hidden in his body was about to break out. Ah! A painful cry came from the cave, followed by the sound of running and roaring. Sima Yue turned around and saw a white spirit beast carrying a person out of the cave. Yusheng! She shouted, but Mo Yusheng's mind was no longer clear. He didn't hear her voice at all, nor did he notice her. Roar! The white tiger stood at the entrance of the cave and roared at the people rushing over. The power contained in the roar stunned them, and then it flew into the sky with Mo Yusheng. Pa! A bolt of tribulation lightning struck Mo Yusheng's body, scaring Sima Yue into holding her breath. How could his weak body withstand this kind of tribulation lightning? Seeing that the white tiger was still alive, she let out a sigh of relief. At least Mo Yusheng was still alive. Pa! Another bolt of tribulation lightning struck Mo Yusheng's body. Mo Yusheng, who was lying on the white tiger's body, suddenly stood up with purple flames burning around his body. This is soul fire? Sima Yue looked at the flames on Mo Yusheng's body in shock. Seeing that someone was about to attack him, she immediately condensed her spirit energy and attacked those people. Mo Yusheng, who was standing in the air, had his eyes closed. His hands were hanging down naturally, as if he had fallen into a deep sleep. The purple flames made his pure aura become enchanting, and his entire person seemed to have changed. Yusheng! She shouted in a daze. Mo Yusheng actually opened his eyes, but they were no longer as clear and clean as before. Instead, there was a sense of dignity and charm. The soul fire on his body burned fiercely, forming a protective circle that blocked the tribulation lightning outside. Chapter 2303. Master, I remember now. Mo Yusheng retracted the flames on his body and flew to Sima Yue's side. He stretched out his hand and said with a smile, Master, where's my master's gift? Sima Yue. She slapped his hand away and said, Why are you still like this at a time like this? Let's get down to business first. There were so many enemies here and there was lightning tribulation above their heads. Yet this person still had the mood to talk to her about this. Mo Yusheng retracted his hand and didn't get angry. He curled his lips and said, Master, you said it yourself. When I'm normal, you'll give me an official master's gift. Aren't you mentally handicapped? You still remember this? Mentally handicapped doesn't mean I don't have memories. I remember everything Master said to me. Mo Yusheng smiled like before and still looked silly. Let's talk about this after we pass this tribulation. Stay by White Tiger's side. Sima Yue casually set up a protective circle to protect him, and then used her spiritual power to attack the people who came. Mo Yusheng looked at the protective circle and laughed silently. Master still thinks I'm that Yusheng from before? After living for 2 lifetimes, this is the first time I've been treated like this. This feeling is really special. He smiled and shook his head. Unfortunately, now is not the time. Otherwise, I can really tease Master. It's best to let Grandmaster watch and make him raise his eyebrows at me. He took a step forward and walked out of Sima Yue's protective circle. At the same time, his body ignited with purple flames again, and those flames blocked the lightning tribulation outside. One lightning tribulation was useless to them, and the other was used to being struck by lightning. With Little Purple's protection, this lightning tribulation was also useless to her. Thus, the following scene was the two of them activating their berserk mode under the protection of the lightning tribulation, leaving all the people who came to assassinate them here. White Tiger was also struck a few times, but it seemed that he went to look for it himself. Sima Yue only stopped after the lightning tribulation had struck most of the people and left. She called out the beasts and asked them to deal with the last hit. For those who were not completely dead, they would go up and give them a stab so that they would not cause trouble for them when they went back. She and Mo Yuxing returned to the cave and casually found a place to sit down. I really didn't expect you to be so powerful. Sima Yue looked at Mo Yuxing and said, "What's up with you, the person undergoing the tribulation? Didn't you reincarnate? How can there still be so much power in his body?" "This is my body to begin with," Mo Yuxing said. "When I transcended the tribulation, my body became smaller and I appeared in the Mo dynasty's palace." The real Mo Yuxing died, and in order not to lose her favor, she secretly had people bury the dead prince, making me the 7th prince. So this body of yours is not only 16 or 17 years old. Sima Yue looked at him and could not help but sigh. "Master, why are you sighing? I thought he was a young hunk. Who knew that he was already an old piece of bacon?" Sima Yue shook her head and said seriously. The corner of Mo Yuxing's mouth twitched. He was elegant, and in his prime. How did he look like an old piece of cured meat? "Then what's your true identity?" Sima Yue asked. "I'm not from your region." Mo Yuxing's words were shocking. "Not one of us." "That's right." Mo Yuxing nodded. "I'm the Pill Emperor of my region. I don't know how I became the one undergoing the tribulation. Now this place has become the White Tiger's contractor." "You're the Pill Emperor? No wonder you're so interested in alchemy," Sima Yue said. "I really didn't expect that I would become the Pill Emperor's master one day. Master, your alchemy skills are really amazing. When this matter is over, you have to teach me alchemy properly. You can't fool me like before." Mo Yuxing said. "You've already recovered your identity and strength, and you still want me to be your master?" Sima Yue raised her brows. "You've been my master for more than a year. I haven't learned anything," Mo Yuxing said. "When this matter is over, won't you go back? We'll talk about it when the time comes. Anyway, I don't have anything to worry about over there. When I want to go back, I'll go back." Mo Yuxing said casually. "When the time comes, I'll bring you to our side to take a look." "All right," Sima Yue replied. "Right, since you've already recovered your intelligence, do you want to go back and take a look before you leave?" Mo Yuxing hesitated for a moment and said, "And I'll go back and see 6th royal brother." No matter what the others were like, he was still grateful for the care they gave him all these years. At this time, a white figure appeared at the entrance of the cave. It was the White Tiger in human form. "You're the Vermilion Bird's contractor." White Tiger looked at Sima Yue and sized her up. He praised, "You're not bad." "White Tiger, how are you?" Sima Yue stood up and looked at him. She had seen him get struck a few times during the battle. She didn't know if his body could take it. "I've suffered some injuries, but I'm fine," White Tiger said. "Also, my name is White Emperor." "Oh, White Emperor." This name was really domineering. "You intentionally went to receive the tribulation lightning, right? And there's a heavenly Tao seal in my body. Part of it depends on the contractor's blood, while the other part depends on the lightning tribulation," White Emperor explained. "Without removing the seal, I can't do anything. You've been sealed by the heavenly Tao." "No wonder I couldn't divine where you were even when I used Black Tortoise's shell." Sima Yue understood. This made sense. She actually wanted to ask him why he was sealed by the heavenly Tao. However, since they weren't familiar with each other, it wouldn't be good for her to ask. They rested in the cave for a while. The rest of the people came over. Although everyone was injured, at least they were still alive. "My goodness, the entire cliff is filled with corpses. You guys can still sit here and chat?" Black Tortoise complained as soon as he came in. When he saw White Tiger, he went up and hugged him. He patted him on the shoulder and cried, "White Emperor, do you know how hard we've been looking for you? We almost lost our lives because of you." "It's not like I wanted it." White Emperor was helpless. "However, if it wasn't for the heavenly Tao sealing me, I wouldn't have survived for so long in this place. Fortunately, I learned divination. Otherwise, I don't know how long it would take to find you." Fushi glanced at White Emperor. His tone was indifferent. It was obvious that he was angry with White Emperor. Let's hurry up and get rid of the corpses here. It's not good for people to see a pile of corpses outside, Jian said. Alright, since the four of us haven't seen each other for a long time, let's go and see who's stronger now, Black Tortoise agreed. Chapter 2304. Bai Xiaofei looked at Mo Yuxing and saw that his aura was different from before. Did the contract make his mind mature? It's not that his mind has matured, he's regained his previous identity. Sima Yue told him about Mo Yuxing. Bai Xiaofei clicked his tongue in wonder. Sima Yue called Wen Shi and Bai Yuyan out of the spirit pagoda. Wen Shi reacted and rushed to Bai Xiaofei's side. How is it? Are you guys okay? Where are those people? Shir, don't be nervous. The battle is over. Bai Xiaofei held her hand and said, We're all fine. Don't worry. Huh. Bai Yuyan ran to Mo Yuxing and opened her small arms. The previous Mo Yuxing was as clean as a piece of white paper and treated Bai Yuyan very well. Therefore, other than her parents, Bai Yuyan liked him the most. In these 2 years, his relationship with Bai Yuyan was very close and he often hugged her to play. Bai Yuyan did not know what happened just now. This kind of danger, to a young girl like her, was completely incomprehensible. She did not even know that they were not in the same place as they were now. In her little world, there was no difference between the present and the past. Therefore, she did not feel that Mo Yuxing was any different from before. The moment he came out, he asked for a hug. Mo Yuxing laughed and carried Bai Yuyan up with his long arms. He pinched her nose like before and teased her. After teasing her for a while, he returned Bai Yuyan to Wen Shi. Then he came to Sima Yue's side and smiled at her. What? Sima Yue was circulating her energy to heal her injuries. Being stared at by him like this, she could not endure it any longer. Master, you said before that you would give me a gift for becoming your disciple. Just now you said that business was more important. Now that it's over, shouldn't you give me a gift for becoming my disciple? Mo Yuxing said. I say, you're a pill emperor. In your place, you're a tyrant. Why do you keep thinking about my gift for becoming your disciple? Sima Yue was speechless. That familiar face was no longer as silly as before. She was happy for him, but she missed the silly him from before. She took out a spatial ring and threw it at him, saying faintly, I'll give it to you. Don't disturb me from recuperating. It's all because of you that I ended up like this. Why don't you be quiet? Mo Yuxing sent his divine sense into the interspatial ring. When he saw the treasures piled up inside, he smiled and said, Master, recuperate well. Disciple will be quiet now and won't disturb you. He put away the spatial ring and didn't pay much attention to its contents. His insistence was only to maintain their relationship, not because he wanted her things. When her spiritual power was almost fully recovered, the 4 great godly beasts returned along with Sima Yue's beasts. This meant that they had cleaned up all the corpses in the valley. Now everyone was present. The 4 great mythological beasts have all returned. We can go find Taotai and the others to settle accounts, Fuxi said. It is indeed time to go back and take revenge. The black tortoise knocked on its shell. If it did not take revenge, it would be too old to walk. Don't worry. Everyone is injured. Let's recuperate first before going back. Crimson Flame said. If the 4 of them went back, as long as they appeared in the divine realm, the 4 great beasts would be able to sense their aura, and would come to kill them immediately. If they went back with injuries like this, it was tantamount to courting death. Then you guys recuperate here. I'll go back. Mo Yuxing said. Then let's go back to that courtyard to recuperate. Sima Yue suggested. All right. They were all injured this time, so it was good to find a place to recuperate. Thus, Sima Yue set up a teleportation array, and directly returned to the imperial capital. Mo Yuxing thought that he would never see Mo Yuxing again, but he didn't expect to see him again during his most difficult time. 2 years later, the imperial capital was already different from 2 years ago. The first prince was crippled by the emperor in the battle. Now, only the 4th prince and the 6th prince were fighting fiercely. Especially recently, both sides had reached a white-hot stage. These 2 days, The emperor's health was not good, and he fell into a coma. The fourth prince slandered the sixth prince for poisoning the emperor, and brought people to kill him in the prince's palace. As long as he killed the sixth prince, he would be the emperor. He had already investigated in these 2 years. Mo Yuxing and that woman had already left, so he didn't need to worry about anyone protecting him. Mo Yuxia and Mo Yuxing looked at each other, both unwilling to admit defeat. Mo Yuxing, do you really think that the connections you've accumulated in these 3 years can compare to the connections I've built for more than 10 years? 2 years ago, I only left you to deal with the first prince. Otherwise, do you think you could have lived until now? Mo Yuxia looked at Mo Yuxing as if she was giving alms. Mo Yuxing also knew that there was a certain gap between the two sides, but if it wasn't for one of his factions suddenly changing sides, he wouldn't be in such a passive position. As long as I kill you, everything will be over. Look, your people are pretty much all dead. Since we're brothers, I'll give you a chance to kill yourself and die more easily. Mo Yuxia said. Mo Yuxing coldly snorted. Even if I die, I'll drag you down with me. Then let's see if you have the strength. Mo Yuxia said as she was about to make a move. When Mo Yuxing came over, he saw this scene. There were corpses all over the ground and Mo Yuxing was standing in the middle. His body swayed and was about to fall. Fourth brother, you don't need to do this if you want to usurp the throne, right? Mo Yuxing's voice sounded, shocking everyone in the courtyard. They followed the voice and saw that Mo Yuxing had appeared on the roof at an unknown time. Mo Yuxing, you're not dead yet? Mo Yuxia saw him and subconsciously looked around. My master is busy and doesn't have time to play with you. Mo Yuxing flew to Mo Yuxing's side and said, Sixth brother, are you okay? I won't die yet. Mo Yuxing smiled at him. Hearing that Sima Yue didn't come, Mo Yuxia let out a sigh of relief. She stared at Mo Yuxing and said, Mo Yuxing, you're not stupid anymore? Mo Yuxing saw the injuries on Mo Yuxing's body and his eyes darkened as he said, Fourth brother, since we're brothers, I'll give you a chance to kill yourself so that you can die more easily. Ha 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 ha. Mo Yuxing, you're too naive. You two trash have always had a good relationship. Since you've sent yourself to die, then I'll help you. Mo Yuxia said as she condensed spirit energy to attack Mo Yuxing. However, Mo Yuxing waved his hand and sent it flying. You have the nerve to attack with your little strength? Let your people come, trash. Mo Yuxing coldly snorted. Mo Yuxia was shocked by Mo Yuxing's move and shouted to the people behind him. Quick, kill him for me. Chapter 2305. This Mo Yuxing, after going out, not only was he no longer stupid, his strength had also become stronger than his own. It seemed that it was good to have a powerful master by his side. Fortunately, his master didn't come today, otherwise, he would definitely kill him today. The people behind him received the order and 2 people condensed spirit energy to attack Mo Yuxing. Mo Yuxing stood in front of him and said, Your target is me. Sixth brother, just watch from the back. Mo Yuxing pressed him down, making him unable to move. Then Mo Yuxing waved his hand, and those people were blown away by the strong wind. The unfinished spirit technique was also disrupted because of this. Mo Yuxing was shocked by this move, and stood in place in a daze. Mo Yuxing smiled at him. Sixth brother, just stay here and watch how I take care of them. Mo Yuxing subconsciously nodded, and watched as his figure moved around the courtyard like a ghost. When he stopped, those people had already turned into corpses. Mo Yuxing threw the only living Mo Yuxia in front of him and said, Sixth brother, I'll leave him to you. Only then did Mo Yuxing recover from his shock, and look at him in astonishment. If you have anything to say it after dealing with these matters. Mo Yuxing urged. Mo Yuxing nodded and didn't hesitate. He took out a long sword and directly pierced Mo Yuxia's heart. When those people came in, Mo Yuxia was already dead. Sixth prince. We came late to save the emperor, please punish us. Those people all knelt down. You were also delayed by others. Mo Yuxing didn't blame them, and went forward to help the leader up. How is father now? The emperor has already been. The fourth prince had people take action against the emperor an hour ago. Father. Mo Yuxing knelt down in front of the imperial palace with a sorrowful expression. Sixth Prince, what we need to do now is to quickly stabilize the situation. The emperor's corpse is still in the palace and the officials are all in a panic right now. Let's quickly enter the palace. All right. Mo Yuxing stood up and looked at Mo Yuxing. You can go. When you're done, I'll come find you. Mo Yuxing smiled at him. Only then did everyone realize that the previously foolish seventh prince was no longer foolish. Mo Yulai indeed had a lot of things he wanted to say to Mo Yuxing. After hearing his words, he nodded and left with his people. After that, Mo Yulai did things very smoothly. The fourth prince was already dead. Now that Mo Yulai was alive, there was no point in those people objecting to him. The Mo dynasty could only be ruled by those with the surname Mo. It was useless no matter how hard they tried. Soon the person who poisoned the emperor and killed him was found out. It was the fourth prince who did it. Thus the ministers and various forces gathered around Mou to become the Heart Emperor. Mo Yulai was also very capable. In just a few days, he had the entire situation under control. On this day he was reviewing memorials in the imperial study when he felt a fluctuation in the air. He raised his head and saw Mo Yuxing walk out of the space. The sound of rain. He put down the pen in his hand and looked at him happily. Sixth Imperial Brother. Mo Yuxing came to his side and looked at the tall pile of memorials, saying, "Being the emperor really is busy. Imperial Father wasn't feeling well a while ago, so these piled up." Mo Yulai said, "Why do you have time to come today?" He sent people to invite him before, but he said he didn't have time. He didn't expect him to come now. "I came to say goodbye," Mo Yuxing said. "Let's go to the Imperial Garden." Okay. Mo Yulai didn't bring anyone, and went to the Imperial Garden with him. Because of the previous battle, the Imperial Garden had been damaged quite a bit. It hadn't been completely repaired yet. "You're leaving?" Mo Yulai asked. "Yes. After leaving this time, I might not come back," Mo Yuxing said. "You're going to do something very dangerous? You can say that. However, me not coming back has nothing to do with this. Even if we achieve a great victory, I won't come back," Mo Yuxing said. "Why? This is your home." Mo Yulai didn't understand. "I'm not the real Mo Yuxing," Mo Yuxing said. "I'm just a passerby who borrowed his identity." He told Mo Yulai about his tribulation. Seeing Mo Yulai's complicated expression, he said, "After I'm done with the matters above, I might return to my place. The only one I'm worried about here is you. Fortunately, you've already succeeded, so things will be better in the future." "You." Mo Yulai opened his mouth, but didn't know what to say. He felt that Mo Yuxing's change was too big. He shouldn't have grown so powerful in just 2 years. Indeed, that was the truth. You have to be careful. If you want to come back in the future, then come back. As long as I'm alive, this will always be your home. Thank you, Sixth Imperial Brother. Mo Yuxing smiled and took out a spatial ring. He placed it in Mo Yulai's hand and said, "These are some things I collected in the past. I'll give them to you. You're a pill emperor, so you must have collected very good treasures. Sixth Imperial Brother won't be polite with you." Mo Yulai pretended to be relaxed and said, "Since you're leaving, then let's have a good drink today. Treat it as a farewell for you." "Okay, I haven't had a good drink with Sixth Imperial Brother yet. Let's go get the wine." Sima Yue and Wu Lingyu were playing chess. Qi Yan and the others were talking about something. They seemed to be discussing their strategy. When she was playing with Bai Yuyan, while Bai Xiaofei was smiling at the mother and daughter. Everything seemed to be happy and harmonious. Sima Yue held a white chess piece and was about to place it down when her hand suddenly stopped. She was stunned, as if her mind was not there. "Yu." Wu Lingyu saw that she was stunned and called out softly. Sima Yue did not react. The commotion attracted everyone's attention. They surrounded her and asked, "What's wrong with her?" Qi Yan had a contract with her, so he knew the reason immediately. She entered a state of sleep. She fell asleep? Why did she suddenly fall asleep? She didn't fall asleep. Someone made her fall asleep. When Qi Yan said this, Wu Lingyu understood and looked at her worriedly. But Bai Xiaofei and the others did not know. They looked at Qi Yan and asked him to explain. Qi Yan explained the matter with Xian Qiuhe briefly. Everyone understood the relationship and started to worry. Xian Qiuhe looked for her in this way at this time. It was definitely not a good thing. Sima Yue felt that she was dreaming again. But this dream was so clear that she could think of everything clearly. She was playing chess with Lingyu. Now that she entered the dream, she must have been pulled in by Xian Qiuhe. She came to the bottom of a cliff. She looked up and saw her clansmen and friends. The elders of the Sima family were all captured. Shimen Feng and the others were there too. There was also Fatty and the others. Everyone was fixed on the cliff in the shape of a cross. Chapter 2306. Sima Yue looked at the people on the cliff and could not suppress the anger in her heart. What do you mean? She tried hard to suppress the anger in her heart. What do I mean? Don't you understand? Xian Qiuhe's pleasant voice was cold and unruly, without the warmth from before. Understand? She understood what he meant too well. What do you want? What do you think I want? Xian Qiuhe's cold laughter came from all directions. You didn't take my words seriously. I said before, if you don't go and absorb the power of the last two places, I'll kill one of your family and friends every day. I've already absorbed one place. There's only one left. Sima Yue said. I know, that's why I didn't kill these people because you got people to stop me. Xian Qiuhe said. Look at you, you're so sentimental. If you didn't have a good relationship with them and couldn't let them go, how would they become your weakness today? Sima Yue didn't reply to her. She looked at the densely packed people trapped on the cliff and blamed herself in her heart. Pooh dash, a long sword pierced through the heart of a person on the cliff. That person groaned and lowered his head, without a trace of life. Xian Qiuhe. Sima Yue shouted, trying to stop him from continuing. But very quickly, the second person also died. You don't worry, although these two people are from the Sima family, I know that you're not close to them. Xian Qiuhe's voice came again. But beside them are your grandfather, father, mother, your partner, your brother and sister. If you don't come back, I can't guarantee whose heart will be pierced by the next sword. Sima Yue closed her eyes. The anger in her eyes was not concealed. Xian Qiuhe, if you dare to touch them, I'll never go to that place and you'll never be able to get what you want. You can kill them if you don't believe me. I'll blame myself and kill myself to appease their souls in heaven. If you don't believe me, you can try. You don't have to be so angry. Xian Qiuhe said. Since I informed you, I will naturally leave you some time. 10 days later, you must appear in the divine domain. Otherwise, I'll take one a day. Yeah, I'll wait for you to come back. Xian Qiuhe. Sima Yue screamed as she woke up. She saw the crowd surrounding her. Are you alright? Fuxi asked worriedly when he saw her pale face and dazed eyes as she leaned into Wu Lingyu's embrace. Wu Lingyu's voice sounded in her ears, and she immediately came back to her senses. Father and the others are in trouble. Sima Yue came out from his arms, looked at him and said. Xian Qiuhe captured the Sima family, Feng Er, Fatty and the others. He killed 2 people and asked me to return to the divine region within 10 days. 10 days? So tight. When she exclaimed. Yes. Fortunately, we've already found the white tiger, and everyone's injuries have more or less recovered. I'll go back first and leave Crimson Flame here. As long as I don't absorb the last bit of energy, he won't take my life. So during this period of time, Crimson Flame will be fine. Sima Yue said. If she was killed by Xian Qiuhe, then Crimson Flame, who had a contract with her, wouldn't be able to escape death. If he died, one of the 4 great divine beasts would be missing. You guys should move faster. The 4 great divine beasts won't give you much time to breathe. Sima Yue continued. I'll keep in touch with you guys through the Crimson Flame Crane. Sima Yue said. We have nothing to do here. Let's go back with you. When the time comes, you can go find Xian Qiuhe, and we'll go find the 4 great divine beasts. Fuxi said. That's good too. Then let's go find Yuxing and go back directly. Mo Yuxing and Mo Yulai were drinking in the imperial garden. They dismissed all the palace maids and eunuchs, leaving only the two of them alone. They both knew that this might be the last time the two of them would be together in this lifetime. Just as the two of them finished another jar of wine, Sima Yue and the others walked out of the space. Mo Yuxing only glanced at them before standing up. He said to the already drunk Mo Yulai, "Sixth Imperial brother, the weather is cold. Let someone send you back." "Yuxing, are you leaving?" Mo Yulai crawled up from the ground and stared at him. The corners of his eyes were slightly moist. "You must be careful." Mo Yuxing patted his shoulder and flew to Sima Yue's side. The group of people flew into the torn space. Mo Yulai looked at the slowly closing space. He raised the wine jar in his hand and took a big gulp. Gone. This time he really left. "Emperor, this servant will let you go back?" A eunuch came to Mo Yulai's side and said softly, "Go back." Mo Yulai threw away the wine jar in his hand and left the imperial garden unsteadily. Sima Yue and the others arrived at the divine domain on the 10th day. The moment they arrived at the divine domain, they were lucky enough to meet a group of people from the 4 palaces. These people were really a bit cruel. They were only here to investigate the news of the rebels. However, they just happened to meet the 4 divine beasts that returned. In the end, they were completely annihilated by the 4 divine beasts. "Yu, go and find the tomb left behind by the Emperor of Qingdao. We will go back to the Cliff Palace to take a look at the current situation and discuss how to deal with the 4 palaces and the 4 divine beasts." Fuxi said, "We will go back and let Master calculate where your family is. Then we will send people to save them." "Okay." Sima Yue also agreed to this arrangement. "Let's do as we said before. I will contact Qiyan." "I will go with you." Wu Lingyu could tell that Sima Yue did not want to bring him along. "Don't go with me. Take Yaguang and go to the Chan family to see if the 2 children are still there. See if they are well." Sima Yue was worried about the 2 children. It might not be useful to let others go. Wu Lingyu knew that she was worried about the 2 children. However, he was also worried about her. "Don't worry. At this moment, Xianqiu he probably already knows that I am here. So he won't let anything happen to me." Sima Yue said, "Go and see Xiao Dao and Yao Yao first. Then help me save my mother and the others." Although Wu Lingyu was not very willing, it involved her relatives and friends who were captured. He could not really ignore it. "Okay then. You have to be careful." "I know." The group separated after arriving here. Sima Yue went to find the tomb left behind by the Emperor of Qingdao according to the map in her memory. Wu Lingyu went to the Chan family. The 4 divine beasts went to the Cliff Palace. Perhaps it was because she returned to the divine domain in the stipulated time. Xianqiu he did not come to find her again. She went to many cities and searched for a long time. Even with the small throne, she spent 1 or 2 months to find the tomb. Chapter 2307. Emperor Qingdao's mausoleum looked the same. Because she had his aura, Sima Yue entered the mausoleum without much effort. From the moment she entered, she felt that this place was different from the previous mausoleum. It seemed to have Emperor Qingdao's aura, but it was mixed with other auras. Why would Emperor Qingdao leave someone else's aura in his own mausoleum? She was puzzled, but she continued to walk in. Creak! A mechanism opened, and dozens of short guns shot out from the wall. However, they stopped beside her, as if they were hesitating. After a few seconds, they flew back. Sima Yue continued walking without any surprise. She had encountered such a scene more than once in the previous mausoleum. She encountered such a situation several times in the later mausoleum, until she reached the last mausoleum. What surprised her was that this mausoleum did not have a coffin like the previous mausoleum. There was nothing in the entire room. Without a coffin, how could she inherit his power? She frowned slightly and walked to the center of the mausoleum where the coffin was supposed to be. No, there was nothing. She walked around and confirmed that there was nothing. She was puzzled. Could it be that this place had been discovered and the coffin had been moved away? However, There were no traces of anyone coming in from the outside. It seemed that no one had come in except for her. Could it be that this place was different from before? She sat down in the center of the mausoleum and closed her eyes to sense if she could enter the previous state. Don't bother. You won't find Emperor Qingdao here. A woman's voice sounded. Sima Yue opened her eyes. A woman who looked exactly like her was standing in front of her. However, she was no longer in the mausoleum. You are Samsara? Sima Yue asked. I am you. Samsara smiled. Samsara is just a name. You are me? Sima Yue was not too surprised. After all, she had guessed this possibility before. I am a trace of your soul that you left behind. I stayed here to wait for your return. Samsara smiled. Isn't this Emperor Qingdao's mausoleum? I can feel his aura here. How did it become you waiting for me here? Where is Emperor Qingdao? Sima Yue asked. I asked him to build this for me, Samsara said. At that time, I only had this little bit of soul left. What about the other tombs? Sima Yue asked again. Don't worry, I'll tell you slowly. Samsara waved his hand, and the two of them appeared in a pavilion. Everything around them was white, and they couldn't see anything. Brew some tea, Samsara requested. Sima Yue was speechless. She was just a spirit. How could she drink tea? However, she still took out the teapot and began to make tea for the two of them. The fragrance of tea drifted around. Samsara sniffed it and seemed to enjoy it very much. After so many years, your craftsmanship is still as good as ever. Didn't you say that you are me and I am you? If I'm good at cooking, doesn't that mean you're good too? Sima Yue replied. The tea is ready. Tell me what happened earlier. I know that you were the one who guided Emperor Qingdao into cultivation, and you were the one who helped him get rid of those distracting thoughts. I don't know much about the rest. There's nothing else. Samsara picked up the teacup and sniffed it lightly. Then he held the teacup and played with it. His actions were almost exactly the same as Sima Yue's. I've only met him twice. The third time was here. Only 3 times. Yes. Back then, I was just waiting for you here. And I met him who was already very powerful. He knew that I was waiting for you here, and he also knew what I was thinking. He said that he owed me a favor, so he wanted to do something. That's why he built this tomb. He also built many other tombs. You are my reincarnation, so you have a karmic connection with him. That's why you can inherit his strength. After he arranged everything, he came back here and accompanied me for a few days before he passed away. That's why there's his aura here, but there's no trace of his soul. I see. Sima Yue understood. No wonder there was no coffin here, because it wasn't built for him. Samsara waved his hand, and a jade coffin appeared outside the pavilion. There was no need to guess. The one lying inside was Emperor Qingdao. When he was alive, they only met a few times, but in death, they were together for so many years. It could be considered to have fulfilled his wish. After so many years, you're finally here. You being able to see me means that you've met your own requirements. Samsara's eyes were smiling. My requirements? Sima Yue murmured. You haven't told me why you're waiting for me here? Naturally, it's to tell you about the heavenly Tao. Samsara said. Sima Yue stared at Samsara, her expression cold. She felt that she needed to be mentally prepared for what she was going to say. Samsara saw her so nervous and smiled. When you were in my life, you traveled the entire world, and finally found the reason for the heavenly Tao's change. But at that time, you realized in despair that you couldn't change it. Is it because of the chaos world? It seems that you also realized that the heavenly Tao's change is related to the chaos world. Samsara smiled. At that time, you also realized it, but you were in despair because you couldn't enter the chaos world. But you still wanted to give it a try. So you left me here to guard, and went to the chaos world, and never came out. So you're waiting for me here to tell me that the heavenly Tao's change is related to the chaos world. Sima Yue didn't think that was the only reason. This is only part of it. The important thing is to tell you how to change the heavenly Tao back. Samsara said. Open the chaos world, and let the chaos world's aura spread across the world again. As long as people's cultivation aura has the Chaos World's aura, they can advance like before. Then how do I open the Chaos World? Sima Yue asked. She always felt that the Chaos World couldn't be opened by one's strength. Samsara knew what she was thinking and said, only you can open the Chaos World. Of course, if someone has the same conditions as you, they can open it. What conditions? To be able to enter and exit the Chaos World freely, have the strength of an emperor, and be a spirit master of all attributes. As long as these three conditions are met, they can open the Chaos World, Samsara said. Sima Yue's mouth twitched. Having the strength of an emperor was still acceptable. After all, there were many emperors in the divine realm. However, the first and third points were 1 in a million. Not to mention, there was someone who had all three conditions. There were only so many emperors in the divine realm, and no one was a spirit master of all attributes. No wonder she said that she was the only one who met the requirements. Chapter 2308. What do I need to do to open the Chaos World? She knew that she was a person with great luck. She also knew that the greater the luck, the greater the responsibility. You need to go in, and when you come out, use your strength to support the passage. That would do. The method sounds simple, but that's the passage to the Chaos World. How can my strength support it? Sima Yue asked helplessly. You have to think of a way yourself. Samsara shrugged. I'm just here to tell you the method. As for how to do it, you have to figure it out yourself. But you can go to the underworld to find Hades. He might tell you something. Hades? He didn't tell me anything about Tian Dao and the Chaos World. Sima Yue was shocked. Since Hades knew, why didn't he tell her? He might have his own reasons. You can find him and ask him, Samsara said. If I can see him alive, I'll ask him again, Sima Yue said. You want to die? Samsara stared at her and said coldly. Cough cough. Sima Yue's throat was choked by the tea she just drank, and she coughed twice before she recovered. She wiped the tea from the corner of her mouth and said, Don't be so direct. Isn't that so? Samsara said. From what you said just now, you obviously feel that you won't be able to survive. If this isn't going to die, then what is? I have my reasons. Sima Yue sighed. She really didn't have the confidence to win against Xian Xiuhe, but she couldn't not go. She couldn't disregard their lives. Then it's your decision. I'm just a part of your soul. Samsara didn't comment on her decision. All right, I've told you everything. I've finished this cup of tea. I should go back. After saying that, her figure turned into starlight and merged into Sima Yue's body. Sima Yue closed her eyes subconsciously. Then, she felt that something was different about her. It was as if her entire body had been sublimated. That's right. I sealed the last bit of power that Qing Dao left for you in his body. Samsara's voice came from her body, and then completely disappeared. Sima Yue opened her eyes. She was no longer in the pavilion. She was back in the stone room. However, at this moment, a jade coffin appeared in the stone chamber. She walked over and rubbed her hand on the coffin. This was the real coffin of Emperor Qing Dao, the person who had been influencing him since he was young. In the end, he was lying here. He seemed to have always been an obsession of hers, a driving force for her to move forward. Now that he had appeared in front of her, although she had mentally prepared herself, she still felt responsible. She exhaled and exerted force with both hands, opening the coffin lid. What entered her eyes was only a set of white bones. She reached out and stroked the white bones. When she touched his skull, she felt a chill on her fingertips. Then, a force entered her body through her fingers. Luoya Palace. The members of the Righteous Alliance were gathered here to discuss matters. When they heard that the 4 divine beasts had returned, everyone was very excited and ran out to welcome them. It really is the aura of the 4 divine beasts. That's great, they're finally back. How many years has it been? I can finally feel the aura of the 4 divine beasts again. Haha, I can already see our victory tomorrow. Yes, now that the 4 divine beasts are back, we will definitely win. From now on, we won't be oppressed by those beasts and the 4 palaces anymore. Fuxi brought everyone over. He bowed to Luoya Palace's master and said, "Great master, second master, fortunately, I didn't disappoint you. I finally brought Black Tortoise and White Tiger back." "Good, good." The palace master was very happy. At such an old age, he was almost crying tears of joy. "Good lad, you did well." Junbai patted his shoulder. Fuxi saw that Junbai's complexion was much better than before. He said, "Master, are you feeling better?" "With the things that Yue left behind before she left, my body has long recovered. It's just that I recently did a few divinations and suffered some injuries that haven't completely healed. However, I didn't injure my core, so don't worry about it." Junbai looked around and didn't see Sima Yue. He asked, "Where is she?" When he mentioned Sima Yue, Fuxi and the others' complexions weren't very good. He told them about how Xianqiu captured her family. This Xianqiu, we were still wondering why the Dark Dragon Guard disappeared. So it turns out that he went down to capture her family. Junbai said, "Fuxi, didn't you say that your master is very powerful? Why don't you calculate where Yue's family is captured? Why don't we go and rescue them first? This way, he won't be able to threaten Yue." When she said, "Yes, master, can you calculate it?" Fuxi said, "This matter wasn't considered a secret and shouldn't bring about much harm." Thus, Junbai took out a divinatory item and started calculating. Everyone waited for a while. Not only did Junbai not calculate anything, he almost got himself injured again. "Master, how is it?" Junbai shook his head and said, "I can't calculate it." "Why can't you calculate it?" Everyone was shocked. "Heavenly Tao," Junbai said with a straight face. "Her divinations are all covered by Heavenly Tao. I can't calculate anything at all. How can this be?" If they couldn't calculate the location, then wouldn't they be unable to help her? Even when she went to see Xianqiu, they wouldn't be able to help her. If she were to face Xianqiu alone, would she have a chance of winning? "Then Qiyan, can you find her?" Mo Yuxing asked. "She's in seclusion now. I think she should be absorbing Emperor Qingdao's power." Qiyan said, "As for Xianqiu's location, we can only know when she arrives. However, even if we rush over at that time, it will be too late." Qiyan's brows furrowed tightly. It was obvious that they didn't expect the current situation. "You guys don't have the time to deal with her matters now," Junbai said. "I didn't calculate her matters just now, but I calculated yours. The 4 great ferocious beasts are already on their way here. Just in time. We can finally settle the score from before." Black Tortoise angrily knocked on his tortoise shell. "We can't do it here," White Emperor said. "There were many people gathered here. If they fought with the 4 great ferocious beasts here, no matter who won or lost, this place could forget about continuing to exist. Shishi, you stay here with the child. Palace Lord, please take care of my wife and child for me." After Bai Xiaofei finished speaking, he followed Black Tortoise and the rest and opened a space tunnel to enter. Chapter 2309. Wu Lingyu went to the Chan family but learned that Wu Xiaodao and Wu Qiao had been taken away by dark. He asked Ye Guang to contact Sima Yue, but found that she was in seclusion. So he went to Luoya Palace. When he went to Luoya Palace, he found that Qi Yan and the others had already left and they couldn't contact Sima Yue. "We can't contact Yu, what should we do?" Ye Guang said anxiously. Wu Lingyu was silent for a while and said, "We can't find her, so we can only find someone who can find her." Ye Guang didn't know who he was talking about, but as long as he could contact Sima Yue, it didn't matter who he found. Wu Lingyu went to the underworld and Dark was talking to the 2 little guys about body refining. Seeing Wu Lingyu come over, Wu Xiaodao ran over excitedly and held his hand and asked, "Dad, why are you here alone? Where's Mom?" "Your mom has something to do and can't leave, so she asked me to come and find your Uncle Ming," Wu Lingyu said. "Have you found Black Tortoise and White Tiger?" Wu Xiaodao asked. "Found them? Well, I have something to talk to your Uncle Ming. You 2 go cultivate first." Wu Lingyu was anxious and urged the 2 children. "You 2 go down and comprehend the method I just taught you," Dark instructed the 2 little guys. "Oh." Wu Xiaodao responded and then said to Wu Lingyu, Dad, we're going down, come find us after you talk to Uncle Ming. Oh go. Wu Lingyu patted his daughter's head, knowing that he was going to break his promise this time. Wu Qiao looked at Wu Lingyu and pursed his lips and left. When the two little guys left, Dark said, What did you come to me for, say it? I came to ask you, where is Yu Wei? Wu Lingyu didn't talk nonsense and directly said his purpose. Aren't you with her? Why did you come to ask me about her whereabouts? Dark raised his eyebrows. I can't calculate her whereabouts. Wu Lingyu told him that Sima Yue wanted to find Xian Qiu he after coming out of seclusion, and that Jun Bai and the others couldn't calculate her location. I also rejected it, but as long as it's related to her, it's blank, so I can only come to find you. You can't calculate. Yu sat up. After he opened his eyes, his old face finally changed. You can't find it either? Wu Lingyu asked. No. Hades leaned against his throne and said, Leave him alone for a while. Wu Lingyu didn't know why he suddenly became like this. However, he believed that Hades would not leave Sima Yu in the lurch. Since he didn't panic, the situation shouldn't be the matter. Ming stayed in the room alone for a while. His fingers touched the armrest of the throne. No one had ever seen him so hesitant before. He had to say he and Sohe's. After a while he disappeared with the throne. No one knew where he went. After a long time he appeared in the room. He was still in the same position. He was still hesitant, as if he had never left. Wu Lingyu had been outside the room, waiting for the person inside. But after waiting for a long time, he didn't see him or Ming come out. He came to the door and wanted to knock, but he saw him come out. Let's go. Ming's expression was heavy. This made Wu Lingyu have a bad feeling. Sima Yue stayed in the tomb for 2 months. She completely converted Emperor Qingdao's power into her own. What entered her body from Emperor Qingdao's skull wasn't the power to increase her strength, but his remaining thoughts and consciousness. She could only use this power after refining it. I don't know what's going on outside. She contacted the Scarlet Bees outside and understood the situation. The battle between the dark forces led by the 4 palaces and the forces led by Luoya Palace broke out. The number of people who died in these 2 months was more than the previous year. Both sides didn't have any obvious advantage. The 4 palaces were powerful, but Luoya Palace had gathered many forces over the years. There were also those who had been oppressed for a long time who had also joined the battle. As long as the 4 divine beasts won, there would be no suspense in this battle. As for Qi Yan and the others, the moment she woke up, they finally met the 4 ferocious beasts. After hundreds of thousands of years, everyone either passed down their legacies or survived with secret techniques. Now they finally met. Qi Yan, how are you guys now? She asked through the contract. You're awake? Qi Yan used flames to force Qiongqi back. You guys are fighting? Yes. Qi Yan replied. I asked Tao Tai just now. He said that the people caught by Xianqiu he are in the mountains dozens of kilometers north of Tao Tai Palace. Xianqiu he will know that you're awake. Go and save them. But you guys, it's just 4 divine beasts. We can handle it. Your battle isn't on our side. What she wanted to do was to save the people caught by Xianqiu he and completely remove the thing in his body. If he really absorbed her power, he would be more dangerous than the 4 divine beasts. I know. I will try my best to stall for time. I hope it won't affect your battle, Sima Yue said. She couldn't let Xianqiu he absorb all of her power. If there was no other way, she could only choose to disperse the power. If the battle between the 4 divine beasts and the 4 divine beasts hadn't ended when she died, then everything would be in vain because something happened to Qi Yan. Qi Yan understood her thoughts. After a moment of silence he said, half a day. In half a day's time they could end this battle. Okay. The 2 of them cut off the connection. Qi Yan continued to attack Qiongqi. If you're distracted, you'll die very quickly. Qiongqi's voice was hoarse and unpleasant. Then let's see who's more powerful. Qi Yan laughed coldly. His attacks were even more vicious than before. Sima Yue came out of the tomb. She wanted to stall for time, but a teleportation portal suddenly appeared in front of her. When she saw this teleportation portal, her heart shook. Xianqiu, he was so powerful that he could open a teleportation portal from such a far place. She wanted to stall for time and not go over so quickly. But this way she couldn't reject it. Yu, I'll wait for you here. Don't make me wait too long. I can wait, but they can't. Xianqiu, his threatening voice sounded in her mind. Sima Yue took a deep breath. She jumped and flew into the teleportation portal. Soon, she appeared on the opposite side of the cliff. From here, she could see everyone on the cliff clearly. Chapter 23:10. Xianqiu, he was still dressed in black, smiling as he looked at her, as if nothing had changed all these years. But Sima Yue knew that he was no longer who he used to be. Sima Luxian, Yuke Luo, Sima Qing, Shiman Feng, Shiman Li, Fatty Chu, Bei Gongtang, Ouyang Fei, Wei Ziqi and the others who were close to her were all hanging on the cliff, including little Junjun and the others who were in their teens and 20s. She didn't know how long Xianqiu he had held them here, but they were not in good condition. Some of them were even burnt. I'm here, let them go, she said aloud. Yu, I knew you wouldn't leave them alone. Xianqiu, he said. If you want me to let them go, you have to exchange for it yourself. Okay. Sima Yue agreed without hesitation. You don't. You don't agree with them. You can't. The people on the cliff were already in a daze, but when they heard Sima Yue's words, they all cried out emotionally. Their lips were so dry that they cracked, and when they spoke, fresh blood flowed down their chin. Sima Yue's heart ached, and she said to them, Don't talk anymore, I'll definitely save you today. One by one, her beasts appeared behind her, and when they saw the people on the cliff, they were all furious. I'll hold him back, you guys go save them, Sima Yue said, and took the initiative to fly into the air. Xianqiu, he didn't care about her people, whether they lived or died. It didn't affect him at all, he only wanted her from the start. Seeing her fly into the air, he immediately chased after her. Yu. Little Seven was worried about her, and wanted to fly over to help her. Don't forget the mission you gave us. Little Dream pulled her. Saving them is more important now. Little Seven frowned and stomped her feet. We should save them quickly, in case Yu worries. Huahua advised. A group of beasts went to untie the ropes that tied them up. Because they couldn't use spiritual energy, they couldn't break free from these ordinary ropes. Now that he had regained his freedom, he couldn't fly. The beasts saved all of them, and carried them far away. They watched as Sima Yue and Xianqiu he chased each other in the air. Mi Air, Xiaohua, Xiaozi, follow me to help her. The rest of you stay here to ensure everyone's safety. Xiao He took the lead and flew towards Xianqiu he. Mi Air and Lil Fire also followed him over. The four of them were not ordinary spirit beasts. They were all formed from the spirit chi of heaven and earth, so they would not die so easily. It could be said that as long as Sima Yue was alive, they would not die. Sima Yue relied on her understanding of space to avoid Xianqiu he. The two of them did not clash directly. Red Flame's battle was not over yet, so she could only dodge. Blackie and the other three ran over and surrounded Xianqiu he, attacking him together. There was fire, lightning, and corrosive power. Xianqiu he didn't dare to be careless. He condensed a protective layer to block their power. The two sides were in a stalemate. Sima Yue stopped. The chase just now had used up a lot of her mental energy. Xianqiu he was too strong. She was almost caught by him a few times. Do you think you can trap me like this? Xianqiu he looked at her with his red eyes. A strange smile appeared on his lips. Sima Yue understood what he meant. She knew that things were not good. She quickly retreated from her original position. However, she was still one step too late. An arm suddenly stretched out from the space and slapped her shoulder. If she didn't react just now and avoided the vital parts of her body, the power of that slap would have killed her. If she was caught by him in such a situation, even if she was about to die, he would be able to absorb her power before she died. She used the power of that slap to fly forward for a distance. When she was flying, she turned around and attacked that hand. That hand was injured, but Xianqiu he was not hurt. You can't hurt me. Xianqiu he laughed. That voice was not Qianqiuhe's voice. It was that monster's hoarse and dark voice. As his words fell, the arm that was injured turned into a black fog and dissipated in front of her eyes. At the same time, another arm appeared behind her. Pa! Sima Yue released a bolt of lightning and scattered that hand. After this time he did not continue. He just looked at her and smiled. Sima Yue looked at him. He could actually release such a powerful attack under such a defensive situation. Was he really trapped? She broke out in cold sweat, because of her own thoughts. If that was the case, then me air and the rest. You little. Bang. Before she could finish her sentence, Qianqiuhe's defensive layer exploded. Me air and the rest could not dodge in time. The four of them were sent flying by that power. Sima Yue condensed her spiritual technique and attacked Qianqiuhe. Little guy, you're not hiding anymore? Qianqiuhe grabbed the fire dragon that she created. With a bit of strength, that fire dragon turned into spiritual energy and dissipated in the air. It was still the case. You don't have to be sad. Qianqiuhe suddenly appeared in front of her after he finished speaking. Just like last time, he grabbed her neck and said, "You're already very powerful. It can be said that you're the most talented and powerful person I've ever seen in these hundreds of thousands of years. If I give you time, I definitely won't be your opponent. Unfortunately, you're only 200 years old. You're too young. Even if you have the power of Qingdao, you can't do anything to me. I've lived for hundreds of thousands of years longer than Qingdao." Sima Yue was restrained by him and could not move. She knew that she could not defeat him. She never thought that she could defeat him. She was just a person who had just become an emperor. However, he had the power of hundreds of thousands of years. When Emperor Qingdao died hundreds of thousands of years ago, he was already so powerful. Not to mention him hundreds of thousands of years later. Hence, she only thought of holding him back from the start. Looking at his arrogant smile, she was very conflicted. There was still no news from Qi Yan's side. However, if she persisted, the power in her body would be taken away. That guy would completely merge with Qianqiuhe. No one would be able to suppress him in the future. What should she do? How should she choose? Yu. Qi Yan's weak voice sounded again. It made her tense heart relax. I'm sorry, my beasts. She should have removed their contracts in advance. She smiled at Qianqiuhe. She began to adjust the spiritual energy in her body and let them circulate in reverse. Chapter 23:11. You want to self-destruct? Qianqiuhe shouted. Wasn't she someone who cherished her life? Why would she self-destruct at the last moment? If she self-destructed, where would he find the power of the Emperor of Qingdao Island? Without it, how could he merge with Qianqiuhe? However, Sima Yue's body was special. He could suppress her body, but he could not restrain the spiritual power in her body. He could only watch as her body expanded rapidly. If you self-destruct, I will kill all your family members. None of them will be left alive. He gritted his teeth and threatened. Look, they are still there. Sima Yue smiled proudly. You could catch them previously because they were not prepared. If you want to do it again, it won't be so easy. Qianqiuhe looked over. The place where there were many people just now was now empty. Only her beasts were still there. You actually got rid of them secretly. He laughed coldly. I didn't do it secretly. I made a big commotion. You were focused on me so you didn't notice. If I can catch them once, I can kill them a second time. By then, I will already be dead. Sima Yue released all her power. Very quickly, her body was out of her control. Yue! An anxious shout exploded in the air. Sima Yue raised her head and saw Wu Lingyu and Ming rushing over. Ming waved his hand and a gentle force calmed the power in Sima Yue's body. Wu Lingyu teleported to Sima Yue's side. He carried her in his arms and retreated hastily. He heaved a sigh of relief when he saw that her power had calmed down. Are you all right? Sima Yue's face was pale. Wu Lingyu was still in a daze when he thought that she was about to self-destruct. For the first time, his back broke out in cold sweat. I'm fine. Sima Yue smiled at him. Ming glanced at her with a look of disdain. Useless. Sima Yue looked back at him. If she had other ways, would she have thought of self-destructing? She was not stupid. Ming snorted coldly. He looked at Xian Qiuhe and said to Wu Lingyu, "You go and deal with him." Sima Yue pulled Wu Lingyu back and retorted, "You're so good, why don't you go?" He didn't need to expend much energy to make a move, but he just loved to order them around. "I have something to tell you." For the first time, Ming explained. "Don't worry, he's much stronger than you." Sima Yue pouted but did not say anything. Vaguely, she knew what he wanted to say to her. When Xian Qiuhe saw that his opponent had changed to Wu Lingyu, he knew that this battle would not be easy, so he took out a sword. Sima Yue saw the sword in his hand and could not help but exclaim, "Sky Splitter Devil Sword. Why is she in your hands?" Back then, she looked on helplessly as eldest senior brother took this demonic sword out of the Little Black Lotus realm, in order to not report Little Seven's identity. She also watched as it set off waves of bloody storms on the continent. After it disappeared, she was still suspicious of its whereabouts. She did not expect that Xian Qiuhe had it. That's right, at that time, the black-robed men were all over the mainland. It was not surprising that he would get the devil sword. However, Xian Qiuhe was already very strong. With the help of the Sky Splitter Devil Sword, his strength went up another level. "Don't worry, even with it, there won't be a problem," Wu Lingyu said and was about to go up, but Sima Yue grabbed him. She took out a dagger and said, "The Sky Splitter Devil Sword is very powerful, but it has something that specifically restrains it. Did you forget? Take note of the rest of your eyes after reading for a long time." Translator. Mr. Voltaire/Wu Lingyu smiled when he saw the dagger in her hand. Sima Yue erased her relationship with Ling Long and placed it in Wu Lingyu's hand, saying, "Sky Splitter Devil Sword, Divine Sword Ling Long. Go." Wu Lingyu and Ling Long established a connection. Wu Lingyu turned Ling Long into his usual long sword and fought with Xian Qiuhe. The two of them fought with great strength. Sima Yue stared at the two of them. Their movements were too fast. She could not tell who was who. "Ming, is Lingyu really okay? That guy is very strong," she said worriedly. "I said don't worry, don't worry." Ming was a little frustrated. Sima Yue was surprised and asked, "What's wrong with you?" Ming looked at her. He wanted to say something but hesitated. She saw his hesitation and understood. "Is it related to opening the chaotic world?" "You know everything?" Ming frowned. "I know a little, but seeing how troubled you are, I think I don't know enough," Sima Yue said with certainty. "Is it very dangerous for you to be so hesitant?" Ming nodded and said, "The chaotic world is about to be completely closed." "Completely closed? What do you mean? I can't go there anymore?" "Yes. If it's completely closed, even you can't go in. There's no possibility of opening it again," Ming said. When would the chaotic world be completely closed? How much time did she have to prepare? "Right now. It's completely closed now." Sima Yue looked at him in shock. She did not seem to believe his words. "Previously, Wu Lingyu went to the underworld to find me. He said that he could not calculate your location. I calculated it for you, but I sensed the changes in the chaotic world," Ming explained. "I went to the chaotic world to take a look and found that it was completely closed. And it's been a long time. If I didn't find it by chance, I might not have known until it was completely closed. It's actually now." Sima Yue did not know how to describe her thoughts. At this moment, she even felt that her mind was empty. It was as if she was not thinking about anything. "I wanted to wait for you to grow up and have the strength to tell you about the chaotic world. I didn't expect the heavens to not give me the time. If I go now, how confident are I?" Sima Yue felt that she was not the one who asked this question. Less than 30%. Less than 30%. Sima Yue's heart trembled. With such a low success rate, could she do it? If I can't do it, what will happen? Die. If she did not die from exhaustion, she would be crushed by the chaotic world. No matter what, she only had one result. Death. Was that why he was so hesitant? Is there no other way? Sima Yue looked at him. Seeing that he pursed his lips, She knew his answer. You can choose not to go, Ming said. If you really think that I can choose not to go, you wouldn't have told me this. Sima Yue smiled. If he could choose not to go, he would have kept this matter a secret and only told her after everything was over. But he did not, which meant that she could not escape from this matter. This was a responsibility that she had to bear. She looked up at Wu Lingyu and said, "Tell me, what should I do?" Chapter 23:12. Ming looked at her and said in a serious tone, "Are you sure? As long as you take this step, you can't go back on your words." "If I don't do it, what punishment will there be?" Sima Yue asked. "You will be implicated by your family." As for how they would be implicated, she knew without a doubt. "So tell me, what do I have to do?" Sima Yue was not surprised and asked. "I will send you to the chaotic world. When you come out, release all your spiritual power. It must be the power of all attributes." Ming explained. "You have to use all your attributes to build a channel, and use this channel to connect the chaotic world to the outside world. If you have enough power and can build the channel completely, there will be no problem. But if it's not enough, I understand. Send me over." Sima Yue said. "Do you want to say anything to them?" Ming asked. Sima Yue opened her mouth and said after a long time, "Take care of Xiao Dao and Xiao Yao Yao. If she died, he would have to take care of her." "Okay. Let Ling Yu take care of the two children and live well." "Okay." Sima Yue did not say anything else and said calmly, "Let's begin." Ming nodded and waved his hand. Sima Yue disappeared. He looked at the place where Sima Yue was just at and was in a daze for a while. After a long time he muttered softly, "In the end I did as you said, reincarnation." Sima Yue only felt a flash in front of her, and in the next second, she was in a white world. It was her third time in the chaotic world, and she was very calm. She was not in a hurry to take action. Instead, she walked in the white fog for a while. Soon, she heard the sound of water. The last time she and Little Seven walked here for a long time before they saw the river. This time they arrived so quickly. She stretched her hand into the water and saw her face reflected in the river. She tried to smile at herself. I don't know how Ming is related to the chaotic world. It doesn't seem like he has never been here before. Otherwise, how could he send me here so easily? What a guy. He made me come here when I was in the ghost realm. So he did it on purpose. She finally understood many things at this moment. She closed her eyes and sensed for a while before saying, "It's indeed changing." She retracted her hand, and the water in her hand turned into white mist and dissipated into the air after leaving the chaos river. She shook her hand and saw a mark on her palm. She knew that this was the passage that Ming had left for her. She injected her spiritual energy into her palm, and the passage began to emit a faint golden light. Then, she was sucked in by the golden light. It was different from the last time she went out of the chaotic world. At that time her strength was low, and the whole process was muddled. This time, she clearly saw herself flying in the space. She stopped when she felt that she was about to exit the tunnel. Sure enough, as soon as she stopped, she felt the space pressing down on her, making it hard for her to breathe. Fortunately, even her body couldn't withstand it. If it was an ordinary person, they would have been squashed into a pile of mud. It's closing so quickly. No wonder Ming couldn't stay calm, she muttered. If he waited any longer, the space would close completely. She followed Ming's instructions and released all the elemental powers in her body. Apart from metal, wood, water, fire and earth. She also released the dark energy in her soul, and the energy that had almost killed her in the past. Friends, please prompt. Pay attention to the rest of your eyes after reading for a long time. 00 recommended reading. The power of faith. This power lingered around her, creating a stable space for her. Only then did the oppressive feeling disappear. She grabbed a handful of pills and swallowed them, preparing to replenish her spiritual energy later. Then, she began to expand the space around her little by little. She didn't know how thick the space was, and she didn't want to think about it. She just expanded the passage bit by bit. When she condensed that passage, Her figure suddenly appeared in the air. Although they could see her, they could see that she was not in the same space as them. At this moment, Junbai and Chan Shan arrived with a group of people. They were all injured, and it was obvious that they had just finished a battle and rushed over. They didn't know if they had received the news that Sima Yue was changing the heavenly Tao. Apart from them, many other people rushed over. However, those who came were all very strong. They looked at Sima Yue, and all of them were very nervous. If she succeeded, then they would have a chance to advance to a higher level and find eternal life. They didn't know what Sima Yue was doing. They only saw that she was releasing all the power in her body. What is she doing? Someone asked. Can she really change the heavenly Tao like this? Is it so easy to change the heavenly Tao? I think she's just wasting her efforts. Whether it's futile or not, it's better than nothing. That's true. Then let's see. Wu Lingyu and Xian Qiu were fighting equally when they were suddenly awakened by this change. The two of them separated, and Wu Lingyu immediately flew towards Ming. What's going on? He glared at Ming. What did you ask him to do? Didn't you see it? Ming saw that Wu Lingyu wanted to rush over to Sima Yue and said, "It's useless. Since she started releasing her spiritual power, no one can go near her anymore." Wu Lingyu didn't believe him, and continued to fly towards Sima Yue. However, when he was about to reach her, he was stopped by a force. The power of the heavenly Tao. He was shocked. Was she actually protected by the heavenly Tao? At this moment, Ming's voice sounded again. At this time, other than those who can change the heavenly Tao, no one else is allowed to go near her. Even you and I can't. Wu Lingyu attacked for a while and realized that it was really useless. He was pulled back by Ming. Don't get in the way. Ming glanced at him, and he immediately quieted down. Yes, he only saw Sima Yue releasing the power in her body. This didn't mean that she would do anything. He couldn't just rush over like this. It wouldn't be good if he affected her. Lingyu, what is Yu doing? The Sima family members who had left some time ago returned. They originally wanted to help Sima Yue, but they didn't expect to see this scene. Yu Kaluo stared at Wu Lingyu, wanting to get an answer from him. Wu Lingyu saw that he couldn't hide it anymore. He could only tell them that Sima Yue was opening the passage to the chaotic world and changing the heavenly Tao. The Sima family members were shocked. What kind of existence was the heavenly Tao? She actually dared to touch such a thing? Lingyu, is Yu confident? Wu Lingyu shook his head. He didn't know either. Not good. Everyone exclaimed. Wu Lingyu and the Sima family members' expressions changed. Chapter 23:13. Everyone looked towards Sima Yue and saw that she was steadily releasing her spiritual energy, but now her aura was unstable, and it seemed like she could not hold on any longer. She was fine just now. Why did she suddenly become like this? Wu Lingyu stared at Sima Yue and saw her clenching her fists and frowning deeply. His heart ached. He knew Sima Yue too well. Her frowning meant that her body was in great pain. But he could not help her at all. Sima Yue was indeed in great pain. She did not know how long the channel she had constructed was, nor did she know how long it would take. She only knew that the energy in her body was no longer under her control. It was as if someone was using brute force to extract her energy, and it was very rough. The spiritual energy hit her meridians until it hurt. If this went on, her spiritual energy would be squeezed until there was not a single drop left. Not only that, she felt that the channel she had just constructed suddenly became unstable, as if it was going to collapse. Was it going to fail? Try using your domain, Little Spirit suddenly said. Little Spirit was a spatial artifact and had a good understanding of space. With that said, Sima Yue released her spirit realm without hesitation. She used her domain to touch the channel that she had just constructed and merge them together. With the support of her domain, the channel stabilized. But before Sima Yue could catch her breath, she felt that the energy in her body was more chaotic than before. The speed at which it was flowing out seemed to be much faster than before. Soon, she felt that the energy in her body was being sucked dry. Now that her energy had been sucked dry, The next step would be her life force. Just as her spiritual energy was about to dry up, she suddenly felt a warmth in her abdomen. Little spirit, I can still help you for a while, but looking at the heavenly Tao, I'm afraid that my strength is not enough. Little spirit said. Little spirit, I'm sorry, I've implicated all of you. Sima Yoyue's heart was filled with mixed feelings. When she first met Little Spirit, he despised her in all sorts of ways. Later on, he treated her sincerely and managed everything in the Spirit Pagoda for her. At this moment, he did not hesitate to use all of his strength to help it. If the two of them couldn't survive this, it might not be able to find other contractors. Yu, I'm very happy that I've been able to follow you all these years. Little Spirit's voice was still so tender, but his tone was very gratified. All these years have not been in vain. However, I'm afraid I can't accompany you anymore. Little Spirit's voice was getting weaker and weaker. The energy inside him was about to be used up. Yu, let us help you. The beasts' voices were heard together. Then, rays of white light flew past them and entered Sima Yoyue's body. The beasts returned to her body, and she felt the spiritual energy enter her body again. Yu, don't be afraid. No matter what happens, we will accompany you. Seven spoke on behalf of everyone. Yes. Ye Guang's strength was the lowest. When he spoke, his voice was already weak. Sima Yue was touched. There was no need for words of gratitude. She said firmly. If there is a next life, we will still be together. Yes, we will still be together. Sima Yue was trying her best to hold on. Everyone could see that she was in pain. They could also see that she couldn't hold on for much longer. Not good. She has used up all her energy. The heavenly Tao is absorbing her life force. Someone shouted. Wu Lingyu flew over and tried to break through the barrier of the heavenly Tao. However, he was repelled by the power of the heavenly Tao and was sent flying. If you read for a long time, please pay attention to your eyes. Editor. Atlas Studios. He came back again, attacked again, was sent flying again, came back again, and attacked again. This repeated for more than 10 times. He was already badly injured by the power of the heavenly Tao. If this continued, he would lose his life. Ming went forward and waved his hand to restrain him, not allowing him to continue like this. Let me go. Wu Lingyu shouted. His face was red, his hair was messy, and blood was flowing all over his body. He looked very crazy. I said you can't open this at all. Ming said as he attacked, but the result was the same. I promised her that I would protect your safety and let you live well. You can't be tormented like this. Let me go. Let me go. Wu Lingyu struggled in the small barrier, but he couldn't break free no matter how hard he tried. Lingyu. Sima Yue also saw Wu Lingyu. She supported her body with difficulty and slowly turned around. It turned out that he was so close to her, but she didn't see him until now. Yue. Wu Lingyu saw her turn around, and saw that her life force was quickly disappearing. He cried out in pain. Lingyu, I'm sorry. Sima Yue felt that her life force was about to disappear. She smiled at Wu Lingyu and wanted to leave him with a smile. Yue. Wu Lingyu wanted to touch her, but he was stopped by the power of the heavenly Tao. Yu. When the people below saw that Sima Yue was about to disappear, they all cried out. Sima Yue looked down and saw that Bei Gong Tang and the rest were crying uncontrollably. She saw that the Sima family members were all crazy and wanted to rush up, but they were tightly controlled by Ming. She looked at Ming again. His eyes were filled with pain, but he was the most rational person present. Mother. Wu Xiaodao and Wu Qiao came out from the space. When they saw that Sima Yue was about to die, they immediately flew over. They wanted to fly over, but they were blocked by the power of the heavenly Tao. The two of them attacked together, but they were seriously injured by the power of the heavenly Tao. They only managed to survive under Ming's protection. Ming restrained the two of them. Wu Xiaodao cried until his voice broke. He kept shouting, Uncle Ming, let us go over, let us go over. The two of you are so weak. You will die if you go over. Ming didn't let go of the siblings. He watched as they crazily attacked his barrier like Wu Lingyu. At this moment, Everyone realized how powerful this man was. He could actually imprison so many people. When Sima Yue saw Wu Xiaodao and Wu Qiao appear, her tears couldn't stop flowing. She reached out to them, wanting to hug them. "Mother, don't throw Xiaodao away. I will be very obedient in the future. I won't be naughty anymore." Wu Xiaodao cried until he was weak. If it wasn't for Ming's protection, she wouldn't have been able to hold on. "Xiaodao has always been obedient. Not only are you obedient, but you are also very strong." Sima Yue cried, but she tried her best to smile. "Xiao Yao Yao, you have to take good care of your father and sister." "No, I don't want to. I want mother to take care of us. I want mother," Wu Qiao shouted. He didn't want to be an obedient child. He didn't want to be sensible. He only wanted mother to come back. Sima Yue wanted to talk to them, but she felt that the last bit of her life force was being sucked out of her body. In the end, she didn't succeed. Her eyes started to lose focus. She was about to die. "Mother. Yue. Yu." Everyone cried out in grief. Ming closed his eyes. Tears flowed down his cheeks. The moment he opened his eyes, he saw a figure flying towards Sima Yue, flying to her side and hugging her. Chapter 23:14. There was actually someone who could enter the heavenly Tao and go to Sima Yue's side. Everyone was stunned by this scene. Because the two of them are connected. That's why they can enter? Ming muttered softly. Will the ending change? Those people also recognized that person. Xian Qiuhe. How did he enter? No matter how he entered, as long as he can save you, nothing else matters. That's right, as long as he can save you. Why does it matter how he entered? Wu Xiaodao and Wu Qiao no longer cried their hearts out, but looked at the situation with tears in their eyes. Wu Lingyu also quietened down, but upon closer inspection he didn't even breathe, he just stared straight inside. Sima Yue's consciousness was already muddled. Her last remaining consciousness let her know that her last bit of life was about to be extracted from her body. As long as it was extracted, her body would lose its life, and her life would really be gone. She looked back at her life. She didn't have any regrets, only reluctance in her heart. She really couldn't bear to part with her child, Wu Lingyu, and her family and friends. Unfortunately, she couldn't look at them anymore. Yu, I won't let you die in front of me again. A voice sounded beside her ear. She couldn't remember who it was. But she knew that her last bit of life was interrupted when it was about to leave her body. She remembered that a force was transmitted into her body. It allowed her dried-up body to regain some life. Her consciousness gradually came back. She gradually saw the person in front of her, looking at that pair of eyes. She smiled and shouted softly, "He." It was he, not Xian Qiuhe. At this moment, he was himself, that friend of hers, not the monster left behind by Emperor Qingdao. She thought that Xian Qiuhe's soul had already been devoured. She didn't expect to see him again. Xian Qiuhe's smile was as gentle as before. He was very happy that Sima Yue recognized him at a glance. She never thought of him as the same person as that monster. You go back, leave this place to me. Leave the responsibility of heaven and earth to me." With that, he touched her cheek greedily, then used a force to wrap her up and threw her out. He couldn't bear to see her go further and further away from him. Crane. Puff. Although Sima Yue was injured by the Heavenly Tao's power when she crossed the Heavenly Tao's barrier. Only entry and no exit. What a tyrannical Heavenly Tao. However, as soon as she came out, Ming went up to greet her and used her energy to protect her. Without the suppression, Wu Lingyu immediately broke free and hugged Sima Yue, injecting spiritual energy into her body. Mother. Wu Xiaodao and Wu Qiao also broke free and flew to Sima Yue's side. Her life force has already been depleted. If Xian Qiuhe didn't stop her at the last moment and injected some life force into her, let her eat this first. Ming threw them a jade bottle, then raised his head to look at Xian Qiuhe. Once Sima Yue left, the Heavenly Tao's attention was all on Xian Qiuhe. No matter if it was him or that thing controlling this body, there was no way for him to resist, he could only accept it obediently. However, Everyone could tell that Xianqiu he was controlling his own body. He even took the initiative to release all the energy in his body. The passage that Sima Yue built immediately expanded a lot. Bit by bit, when the passage completely opened up the space barrier of the chaotic world, everyone felt an ancient aura rushing towards them. However, the passage wasn't very stable. It was shaking and could collapse at any time. With my power, with my body, I will stabilize its foundation. Xianqiu's determined voice was heard. Not knowing if it was a contract with the heavenly Tao, his body actually started to dissipate from his 4 limbs. All of his spirit energy and his body turned into specks of starlight, fusing into the passage and slowly stabilizing it. Crane. Sima Yue maintained her last bit of consciousness after coming out. Seeing Xianqiu dissipating, she subconsciously called out. Her voice was extremely soft. Please take note of the rest of your eyes after reading for a long time. Editor. Atlas Studios. However, Xianqiu seemed to have sensed something and walked towards her. He didn't say anything, he just smiled at her, just like when they met in the medicine garden in the Cloud Sea City. Sima Yue also smiled at him, seeing his body dissipating bit by bit. The tears on her face couldn't stop flowing down. Finally, when Xianqiu completely disappeared, she couldn't take it anymore. Her vision turned dark and she fell backwards. Yue. Mother. Yu. Sima Yue knew that she fell asleep again. This time, her body was injured too badly, so when she slowly woke up, a few decades had passed. She laid on the bed, thinking about the scene before she fainted, thinking about the dead Xianqiu and some other things. She sensed for a moment, there was an additional trace of chaotic aura in the air. Although it was still very little now, after a long time, it could change the restriction that prevented her from advancing. Crane, this is all because of you. You did it. A drop of tear fell from the corner of her eye, sinking into the hair behind her ear and disappearing without a trace. She felt sad for a while before getting up from the bed. She sized up the room and realized that it was an unfamiliar place. When she sensed again, her expression changed. There was no joy from waking up, nor was there any surprise, only a deep pain in her eyes. She didn't care that she had lost her powers. However, she couldn't sense a single one of her beasts. Even Little Spirit didn't react. I'm sorry, creak. The door was pushed open. Sima Yue thought it was Wu Lingyu, but she saw an unfamiliar man walk in. You're awake. The man's voice was familiar and cold. Sima Yue was surprised. Why would Wu Lingyu and the rest hand her over to a stranger? If even Ming couldn't save her, who else could? This young master, I wonder. Sima Yue couldn't continue speaking because she saw the cold man suddenly smile at her, then ran towards her, hugged her and laughed. Ha ha ha. I told you that you wouldn't recognize me. You've all lost. The door was completely opened. Sima Yue saw the people standing outside. Her eyes turned red. You guys. You, we said we would accompany you. Little Seven's smile was still so bright, brimming with vitality. That's right. We've all been awake for a long time. You're the last one to wake up. Little Rock laughed and said. You guys are fine, that's great. Sima Yue's tears fell, dripping into the arms of the man beside her. Only then did she notice that the man was still hugging her. Your little Roar? You've finally transformed? You finally recognized me. I'm now a handsome man. Although Little Roar was laughing, his eyes were filled with tears. You guys are fine. Why can't I sense your presence? Why can't I sense your connection? I thought. Ming said, it seems like we were punished by the heavens for our previous actions. When you were pushed out, it broke the contract between us. So we don't have a contract now, you can't sense us. Little Dream explained. Yu has finally woken up. But you don't have a contract now, and you don't have spiritual energy. Everything will have to start again. Hua Hua said. Sima Yue wasn't sad at all. She rubbed Little Roar's head and smiled at everyone. It's all right, as long as everyone is alive, it's better than anything else. At this moment, footsteps came from the courtyard. The beasts all retreated to the side, opening up a path. Little Roar also quickly moved away, in case he got beaten up. Sima Yue was now considered a cripple, so when she saw the person walking in, she knew that he was here. Wu Lingyu waved his hand, The people in the house were all cleared, and the door was closed. Before closing the door, Sima Yue saw Wu Xiaodao and Wu Qiyao's figures wanting to come in. She saw Wu Lingyu standing at the door, opening her arms to him. Wu Lingyu teleported over, fiercely hugging her in his arms, filling up the heart that was missing all these years, and listening to her whisper in his ear. Lingyu, I'm back. That you're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.